Iowa Speedway, a real-life field of dreams. This facility was built in 2005 with the hopes of one day getting a NASCAR Cup Series race. 19 years later, that day is finally here. Welcome to Countdown to Green, presented by Sonic from Iowa, where they will finally go NASCAR Cup Series racing. Happy Father's Day, and welcome everyone to our half of the NASCAR Cup Series schedule on USA and NBC Sports. With the Hall of Famer Dale Jarrett, Cup Series team owner Brad Daugherty, I'm Marty Snyder. Is there a better way to go back to work than a new track and a sold-out crowd, DJ?
No, but before I get to that, Marty, I have to say Happy Father's Day to my Hall of Fame father. And I'm not speaking of the NASCAR Hall of Fame. I'm speaking of the Great Fathers Hall of Fame, because he's been that to me for so many years. But to answer your question, this is the perfect place, perfect time. These fans have waited a long time. They've turned out for every event that they've had here since they opened, and now what they've anticipated might happen is happening here today.
These fans are so excited. I got to town the other evening, and there was a young lady standing at the front door of the hotel. She said, "I'm so glad you are here. It is so nice to meet you." She had her girlfriends come over, and they said hello. She said, "I want you guys to meet Michael Jordan. He's in town." So anyway, they're excited.
She didn't know you were about a foot taller than Michael Jordan, did she? By the way, Brad, yesterday you did not know how much a bushel of corn weighed. I brought you two. 56 pounds each one, Brad.
That's exactly right. I'm on it. 56 pounds in a bushel.
You can verify. You know, usually, Brad, when you come to a new track, it's new, right?
Yeah.
Nobody has experience there. That is not the case here at Iowa.
No, not at all. In the Cup Series today, we have multiple winners who won in the Xfinity Series here. You know, Brad Keselowski won 3 times. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won 3 times. The list goes on and on. All of these guys have had tremendous success on this racetrack already, Dale.
Means nothing.
Oh, man.
Different track than these guys won all of those races on. Yeah, there are parts of it that's still the same, but it's so much faster. These corners have been repaved. It's a different racetrack than what they were used to navigating around. How will they come out here today? Could be one of those that win here this afternoon, though.
DJ, there were tire issues Friday in Cup Series practice. You've been in the garage today talking to drivers and crew chiefs. Scale of 1 to 10, how worried are they about tires this evening?
What's the next word above worried?
I'm not sure.
I'd say it'd be mostly 10s that are out there, but there are some 12s. They really don't know, and this really has them confused as to how to go about it, how they set up their car, the changes they have made to this point, and how much are they willing to sacrifice some speed to make sure they're around at the end.
Longest run any car could make Friday in practice, 20 laps. Going to be a big thing to watch today. You know, it's been almost 2 decades in the making, but finally the Cup cars are ready to take on Iowa.
Okay, first of all, it's like, wow, really? Iowa?
Build it and they will come. We've had IndyCar, NASCAR Truck Series, Xfinity. We've patiently waited, and now we're here, Cup Series racing at Iowa Speedway.
I was really honored to design the Iowa Speedway back in 2004. My buddy Stan Clement named it the fastest short track on the planet. It got built straight out of a cornfield.
You might see the cornfield from the interstate, but if you got out and you listened, you could hear the hum.
When I hear that engine noise, I know there's great things coming down the tubes.
Everybody looks and says, Newton, Iowa? If this happens the way I think it's going to happen, this is going to be the biggest shot in the arm this town's had in 20 years.
We may not be Indianapolis, we may not be Daytona, but we are definitely in the heart of racing.
For 50 summers, we've raced out here. When the kids heard the Cup race is coming to town, that was the first question. Are you going to give us that weekend off? And I said, absolutely. You guys can go watch the big boys run at Iowa Speedway.
Racing to me is just like, wow.
Yeah, these good folks have been starving for a Cup race here in Iowa. And if you think about it, our own Nate Ryan told us this morning, there hasn't been a short track race in the Midwest Cup race since 1956.
Wow.
These folks are ready.
At Soldier Field, by the way, in Chicago.
That's right.
So,
That's
yeah,
right.
they're definitely ready for it. You know, Iowa knows how to make an entrance. Some big news breaking here on Friday. 2017 Cup Series champion Martin Truex Jr. has decided to call it a career at the end of the season. And what a career it's been.
And at the track he calls his home track, the Monster Mile, Martin Truex Jr. scores his first career Cup Series victory.
Holy mackerel. Looking to win the biggest race of his life.
Yeah, baby, 4,500.
Martin Truex Jr. takes the Coca-Cola 600 in dominating fashion.
Martin Truex Jr., 2-time Coca-Cola 600 champion. Come on. You're a man!
He's done it for the first time. He will now be called a champion.
Holy you guys are awesome. Thank you.
I've wanted this since I was a little kid, and just never give up, man. Never give up on your dreams, no matter what happens.
We're being attacked down here. So, hey, Martin, you've had a great career, and even today, still a championship contender. Why is now the right time for you to start slowing down?
I've been doing this a while, you know. I'm ready for a little bit of a break. So, yeah, you know, sitting around here for 3 days was a little bit of a reminder. I'm looking forward to next year settling down a bit, but still a lot to accomplish this year. So, not a great qualifying effort by any means, but it's a long race. A lot's going to happen, tires and all that kind of stuff. A lot going on. Hopefully we can manage all that and have a good day.
So you mentioned that you're still going to be around this sport next year. What does a perfect 2025 look like for you?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, probably, you know, 10 races or something like that, and you know, enough time to do the things I want to do away from the track. So it's a big commitment, this job, as you know. It takes a lot, and I'm ready to slow down and make my own schedule.
So, all right, let's get back to today because you're still trying to win a championship. You said you didn't qualify well. What is the biggest challenge that you see ahead of you with this new repave?
Yeah, I mean, obviously tires are the big concern right now. Finding enough grip in the car to take off on new tires and being able to manage that and then have a car that's going to turn after 10, 15 laps is really the key. So we had trouble putting together, you know, any sort of consistent laps on Friday. Made a lot of changes for qualifying and for today. It definitely didn't pan out in qualifying, but hopefully it'll work for us here tonight.
Well, good luck. These tough races seem to work out pretty well for you. Have fun.
So, DJ, you raced with him. How would you sum up the career of Martin Truex Jr.?
Yeah, you look back, I did have the good fortune as he came in and ran his first race in 2004. Notice the talent. I mean, that always stood out as much. But later, as I got to know him and watch him go through his career, you saw what a fair racer he was. And here's the thing about it. He was there every week. You seldom heard him complaining about anything. And he just showed up every time and was ready for anything that went on. The stats are obviously Hall of Fame worthy, and he will be that first ballot of going into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. But I think he left his mark as a huge asset to the sport of NASCAR. And if you want to look at his legacy, he made the sport better by being a part of it. And that's kind of what you want to do as a person, as a driver. He was able to do that. And the last thing that I'll say is that he is living proof that good guys do finish first.
Yeah. That's a very good point. Always a very clean racer. Brad, how hard is it for an athlete to make this decision?
Yeah, realistically, as a pro athlete, you know, what you do is kind of who you become. And if you think about it, to be successful, it has to be all-consuming. And then when you get to the end, it is so difficult to separate from that. It's so difficult to be at peace with that, emotionally, physically, because as an adult, you spent your entire adult life being a professional athlete. It is what you do. So it is very, very hard to close that door and walk away.
You know, two things to me. He gets to go out on his own terms, and as Burton mentioned, he's still competitive. They can honestly win the championship here in 2024. You know, Iowa has played host to some pretty big sporting events over the years. The Yankees and the White Sox in the Field of Dreams game. Of course, Caitlin Clark in the Iowa Speedway hosting Xfinity and IndyCar. And now finally today, the NASCAR Cup Series. You're watching Countdown to Green, presented by Sonic. Here's what's on the menu, presented by Sonic. It's taken 19 years, but the day is finally here for these Iowa fans to see Cup Series cars at their home racetrack. They'll see Kyle Larson start from the pole for the 4th time this year. Larson so far this year 0 for 3 in converting the pole into a win. He'll try to change that tonight. Just 10 races left until the playoffs. A terrific battle for the regular season title between Larson, Chase Elliott, and Denny Hamlin. So far, it's been an entertaining 2024 in the Cup Series.
William Byron, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick. Keselowski wins. They're 3 wide for the lead. It is close. Are you kidding me? Wow. Hollywood ending. Suarez wins it by an eyelash. Checkered flag is in the air. No way.
Whoa, wait, he's out of gas. Something's wrong.
Larson squeezes up against the fence.
Photo
finished. Chris Buescher.
My timing and scoring shows 0.000.
Hold on.
They just changed it and put Kyle Larson as the winner.
All I can see is, wow.
Oh, my gosh. What is happening?
Kyle Busch punts Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Oh, my goodness.
A fight just broke out.
Stenhouse throwing haymakers at Kyle Busch in the garage area.
Holy cow.
I suck just as bad as you. I am let go.
Oh, a whole lot of spice so far this year, DJ. It's not even the playoffs yet. Here are the standings. When do the drivers below the cut line start to worry?
Well, that's where my eyes went immediately, and they have to start worrying right now. There's 10 races, 10 opportunities left, and without getting a win, this is a stressful situation every week. You're trying to find a balance between, okay, do we do things to try to go after the win, or do we race for points here? And that's very stressful on the drivers and the crew chiefs to try to change sometimes throughout. But neither one of them, Joey Logano, we're talking about Kyle Busch and Joey Logano here that are two-time champions in this sport, having to battle their way just to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, it's crazy to think there's only 2 multi-time champions, Brad, and they're both below the cut line. 10 races feels like a lot of time. It's not a lot of time, actually. So let's hear from both of those drivers, starting with Kyle Busch, who's with Kim Kuhn.
Like you guys mentioned, Kyle, just one spot out of the playoff picture. I know this season has been a little bit of a disappointment for you. What is the pathway for you and this team to get into the playoffs?
I mean, just get consistent with feel, you know, and being able to get race cars that feel good to me or whatever I'm used to, which this car is entirely different than anything I've ever driven for this period of time, you know, but that's no excuse. Everybody else has figured it out. They've obviously gotten it, and we won races last year in this car too, so it's just the nature of continuing to evolve and build our program. So, you know, so far this weekend here in Iowa Speedway, the Zone Chevrolet has some speed. We changed a lot of stuff overnight from practice to qualifying, kind of chasing one of our feels and ideas that we've had earlier this year. So hopefully that's the right way. But this race, I'm banking it's going to be different, and we'll see just how much different it is.
Dave, Kyle mentioned that speed they found. They roll off from the 7th position here this afternoon.
Kim, Joey Logano won a race here at the Iowa Speedway when he was 16 years old. Did you have a chance to reminisce a little bit, and can this place help you get back above that cut line?
I don't know about reminisce. That was a long time ago. I really don't remember a whole bunch about it, and obviously the track's a lot different, but the place is packed out again, and it was that day as well, so that's the one thing I really remember. But, yeah, hopefully our Shell Pennzoil Mustang's got good speed in it. I think everyone's a little concerned on what it looks like after 20 laps. Doesn't seem like many cars, if any, ran more than that in practice, so I feel okay about it, but still concerned on, you know, what is the limit with the tires and the issues we were having there. So time will tell, and hopefully we're up front when it matters the most.
And hopefully you'll be able to reminisce about a win here today as well. Marty?
Dave, time for us to give you the scoop on who the garage area thinks are the drivers to beat today. So, DJ, tell us about your ranking system.
Yeah, just talking to drivers, crew chiefs, and others throughout the garage area, and obviously my colleagues, too, that get some more information. So just seeing who they think are the favorites. We know who the betting favorites are. That comes out the first of the week. But this week, we're looking at Kyle Larson, Brad Keselowski, and Denny Hamlin. And that's not surprising because 3 great short track racers. How about any dark horses, Brad?
Yeah, I think for me, if you're looking at the guys who may have an opportunity or may not, unless something special happens, the cream of that crop is going to be Ross Chastain, Alex Bowman, who was really, really fast. And I'll tell you somebody who's been fast every week is Noah Gragson. I'm expecting him to break through. Maybe today he breaks through.
You realize when you picked Alex Bowman there, he's starting 33rd today, right?
He was lights out fast in practice. I don't care. Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, and a lot of people also said Ross Chastain could be a guy to beat today. Tyler Reddick is also one to watch for. Yep. He is so fast on the short runs, DJ, and I think that could be a key, obviously, with the potential tire issues this evening.
Yeah, we'll see exactly what happens as this goes through and evolves through the night, because it's going to be a moving target, if you will, and you're going to have to move around this racetrack, too.
By the way, we were 3 for 3 on drivers mentioning they're concerned about tires. So your 12 number, DJ, was right on. Hey, when we come back, time for today's pre-race ceremonies from the Hawkeye State. We're getting close to that green flag,
man,
Brad.
Let's go, baby. We're in Iowa. Corn pudding, I love it. Cornbread, you got it, baby.
This place is packed out. Going to be a fun evening here on USA. Countdown to Green is brought to you by Sonic. Live free. Eat Sonic. Iowa Speedway, the track has been sold out all weekend, and they have brought the party atmosphere. Brad, any truth to the rumor that you might visit an RV or two during the race tonight?
About 10 of them, man. I gotta get a little something to eat. These folks know how to throw a big party. They got the tailgate going on. It is awesome here.
Just remember, you have to come back for the post-race show, and you're taking the bushels of corn home.
I'll be around.
Yeah, exactly. So, DJ, for the racing tonight, how much of this will be about adapting and learning on the fly?
Yeah, adapting the word of the night for these drivers. You know, that and good fortune will be the keys to winning here. You're going to have to move around at this track and find the best groove, and drivers are going to really have to be secure in knowing that they can get there.
Real quick, as we get closer to command here and you get in the car, DJ, what's this like for a driver?
It's a little concerning, especially the start of this race. I think as they go on, they'll be okay.
What kind of racing will this revamped track provide? We're about to find out together. Time for today's pre-race ceremonies from the Iowa Speedway.
Please rise as you are able, remove your hats, and veterans render a hand salute as the Des Moines Police and Fire Department Color Guard presents our nation's colors. Here to offer tonight's invocation, please welcome Senior Pastor at Lutheran Church of Hope in West Des Moines, Mike Householder.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, on this Father's Day, we thank you for raising up all the good dads who love their kids the way you love us, with wisdom and grace and truth. And we thank you, God, for rewarding our patience as race fans. For tonight, finally, we get to see a NASCAR Cup race in Iowa. We pray for the safety of all the drivers, the crews, and the fans. Fill our hearts, God, with a full measure of your joy tonight. And revive our souls with the full power of your amazing grace and your life-changing love. In Jesus' name, amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome singer-songwriter and Iowa native Neva Alden.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Let's hear it for Neva's the voice of our national anthem.
When we come back, it's finally time to get the engines fired and go cup racing in America's heartland. Countdown to Green is brought to you by Sonic. Live free, eat Sonic. Today we'll introduce something new to our coverage. Two teams are giving us full access to the behind the scenes of their race during stage 2. This evening we'll focus on Christopher Bell and Corey LaJoie.
You know, we have the pieces to go out here and have a great championship run.
What a drive for Christopher Bell. He pulls out the win.
I legitimately think we can be a contender for a race win. We can surprise people this year.
Christopher Bell described his car as edgy free. Those 4 fresh Goodyear tires will certainly help.
Checked in with Christopher Bell's crew chief Adam Stevens today about his pit crew, and he said they've been on the uptick lately in terms of consistency, which is great because C-Bell starts at the back of the field after getting a crash and is in a backup car. What's the job for the crew? Well, it's not to bust off the fastest stops of the night, bust off consistent stops and let everybody else make the speed errors. These guys want to help Christopher get to the front by picking up spots on pit lane. Kim?
Well, Dave, we often talk about crews being athletes, and all of Corey LaJoie's pit crew played collegiate ball. This job has allowed them to showcase their athleticism and even travel the world. Get this, rear tire changer Mike Moss was on the Garage 56 pit crew last year that went to Le Mans, and they were a part of the winning pit crew challenge there. So quite the resume for these guys down here, Marty.
Brad, you're a team owner. I mean, how cool is this? Because it takes more than the driver, the crew chief, and the engineer.
Yeah, this is fantastic. There's a lot that goes into these race weekends for these race teams. There's a lot of people, a lot of moving pieces and parts. And for us to be able to come along and embed our journalists is not only a privilege, it's unparalleled access. This is awesome.
Yeah, it really is, just to see what a team effort it takes to make a good product out here. We hear about the drivers all the time, but it takes a lot more than just that.
Yes, it does. It's pit stops, it's getting to the racetrack, it's every little thing that it takes to be able just to even get to the green flag in a race. Iowa race fans have waited a long time for this. It's time to get the engines fired. Here's Hall of Famer Rusty Wallace.
In 2004, we set out with the goal to build the finest short track this world's ever seen. And we finally accomplished it. From the beginning to the end, we worked on every single detail to make it perfect. And after 20 years of waiting, we're finally here, folks, for the Iowa Corn 350, NASCAR's inaugural race here at the Iowa Speedway. I'm so excited. I hope you are too. And to help me say the most famous words in racing, I want to introduce Jolene Reeson.
Hi, I just got 3 things to say today. Number 1, fuel up with ethanol. Number 2, support Iowa corn farmers. And number 3, drivers, start your engine!
Fired up when you're ready. Let you know they're off.
That is a sound these Iowa race fans have waited almost 2 decades for. It's time for the NASCAR Cup Series racing from the Iowa Speedway next, right here on USA.
You know, 20 years ago, this entire 230-acre property here at Iowa Speedway looked just like this, corn as far as you could see. But a few people had a vision, and Rusty Wallace built the racetrack, all with the hopes of one day getting a NASCAR Cup Series race. Well, that day is finally here.
Fans have been begging for a cup race here for years. They finally got their wish, selling out the grandstands in just one day after the announcement and filling the campgrounds.
On Friday, the teams completed their 1,000-mile trip from Charlotte, North Carolina to the Iowa Speedway, making a ceremonial but necessary trip through the infield tunnel. What did they find on the other side? Opportunity, from a location the track likes to call the Infield of Dreams.
And some of the greatest race fans in the country waited 18 years for this moment. Are you guys fired up? There is so much excitement here. It's been worth it. This man right here says he's ready to go. Let's see what happens.
NASCAR Cup Series Racing, the Iowa Corn 350, powered by ethanol from Newton, Iowa, and the Iowa Speedway. NBC Sports kicking off our coverage to the final 10 races of the regular season, and then The 10-race playoffs. Let's take a look at the starting grid brought to you by Iowa Corn Growers. On the top will be the poll winner, Kyle Larson. Let's see if we can dial him up on the radio, Steve.
All right, let's see. Make sure they're off the radio here. Hey, Larson, it's Letarte and the boys in the NBC booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, man, when I looked at the rundown of drivers in Iowa, your name continued to come up because of all the races you won, but that was 25 miles away down at Knoxville. Bring me here to Iowa Speedway in front of this big crowd and the atmosphere.
Yeah, it's great. You know, the Midwestern fans are some of the best, and, you know, they've been starving for a cup race here at Iowa Speedway, so glad to, you know, be here. Hopefully can put on a good show for them, and, you know, hopefully they can see the 5-car doing some burnouts later.
Well, let's talk about that show. They're getting ready to see a little bit new pavement, a little bit of tire trouble, a lot of storylines heading into the race. Give us your crystal ball. What do you see is going to happen over the next couple hours?
Well, I think the track's going to go through a lot of change and transition. Obviously, you know, day to night's going to be something, but also, you know, I think as rubber, you know, the cup rubber gets laid back down, I think it's going to be really slick here early. So I think we're all going to have our hands full. You know, I think we could see a lot of cautions maybe in the first couple stages, and then hopefully things will settle in. But don't really know what to expect here going into turn 1 on the initial start. But we'll try and keep it going straight, and hopefully, you know, hold on to this track position all day.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time. I know the fans do as well. Good luck tonight, buddy, and happy Father's Day.
Yeah, you too. Glad to have you guys back too. Glad to finally get you off the golf course and back in the booth.
He's speaking specifically to you, Steve.
Yeah, I'll take that.
No, what a good guy Kyle Larson is. Busy. He was last week. He was, or actually last night, he was in Knoxville racing a sprint car there. So he loves to be behind the wheel and racing. Another guy loves to be behind the wheel and racing is Christopher Bell, driver of the 20. Let's check in with his crew chief. Marty, you're down there with Adam Stevens.
Yeah, Rick, when we do the embedded portion of stage 2 later on, this is the sort of access we're going to have. I'm going to be sitting right beside Adam Stevens. So I don't have to tell you, no team's been able to run 20 laps, more than that, on a set of tires. Knowing that and knowing that is going to be the case maybe tonight, how does that play out for you in the race today?
Yeah, you know, we were all caught by surprise in practice. We showed up thinking we were conservative on our settings, and turns out we weren't. So obviously we had the opportunity to make big changes with the backup car, as everyone else did, and I wouldn't be surprised if we could make it 40 or 50 on this first run, but we haven't seen the last of the tire issues.
If tires are able to survive an entire fuel run, how will that play out strategy-wise then?
I think what you're going to see is everybody scared to go too long, and once somebody breaks the seal on pit road, it's going to be a quick cycle.
Steve, it was so kind of Adam to invite me up here. What I'm disappointed about is that you never invited me on top of the box with Jeff Gordon or Dale Earnhardt Jr., but he's given me a nice seat up here this evening.
Well, Marty, I did want to point out, I want to thank Adam Stevens and Ryan Sparks on the 7, both organizations, because Marty's right. No chance you were getting on my pit box 10 years ago. So these crew chiefs have really leaned into great coverage, and that's all for the fans who tune in. We really appreciate this access. Is going to be so much fun.
That's going to take place in stage 2, where Marty and Kim will be embedded with those teams, and we'll get looks of everyone, crew chief, over the wall, spotters, everything. Steve, take us through this race analysis.
Well, it's funny. 350 laps is a little over 300 miles. Remember, 7/8 of a mile racetrack. It is a short track, under a mile. Stage 1, 70 laps. The second and the final stage, both 140 laps. Fuel window, we think, could go over 100. The question all day long will be tires. When you look at the racetrack, you see the dark asphalt in the corners. That's a repave. That just means there's so much load, so much speed, that these Goodyear tires are being put right to the test.
All right, 10 races remain in the regular season, and so take a look at the playoff standings and where we are. Those names in yellow, drivers that have won, locked into the 16 driver field, and then the ones below them, you see them above the line of 16. How many points they're above that? Martin Truex Jr. right now currently 10th, the most above that line.
Well, you don't have to look far below the line to really see two names that jump out. Two champs. Kyle Busch and Joey Logano have both had rough starts for different reasons to the season, some wrecks, some DNFs, and now we head into the race where some people are predicting chaos. I think that has to be seen as an opportunity. If you tiptoe in, you cannot gain those points. I think Busch, Logano, Briscoe, even McDowell are going to try to jump ahead of that line.
Yeah, Steve, I think with so many uncertainties going into the day, if you have stage points in front of you, you got to get them. I don't think you got to even gamble a little bit at the stage points because you don't know you're going to be here when the race ends.
RFK Racing has definitely made a resurgence over the last couple years, and one of the big reasons for that is one of the co-owners, Brad Keselowski. Let's listen into his radio.
It's going to be a very dynamic race. Keep me posted as things change. Grooves are going to change, and strategies are going to flip a bunch of times here. So just need to be in it at the end and not do anything crazy. So keep me posted so I can be my best.
And again, there were 2 backup cars because of accidents in practice. The 2 and the 20 are backup, so they are going to the back of the field.
I don't ever remember a time that I spoke to so many drivers that told me the first 5 laps on tires is scary. They have no idea where their cars are going to end up. It was said to me over and over when I was on pit road, a lot of tension at the start of this race.
It's Larson and Blaney that make up row 1. You saw the temperature inside that car, over 100 degrees already, and that's just at this pace car speed. The fans on their feet. As we've heard before, waiting 20 years for a Cup race. It's happening. The Cup Series is racing in Iowa. Side by side for the lead as Larson dives into 3 just in front of the 12 of Ryan Blaney. Still 2 by 2 for the lead. And a little contact there. Larson trying to come down. Blaney still had that right front fender there, and now Blaney will surge ahead.
You can already see how rough the racetrack is. 4-car, Barry got really loose on the exit of 2.
This is when it really gets challenging. 3 wide. There's really only 2 lanes of fresh pavement. So now with the 24 stuck in the middle, when we get to the bottom down here, can the 11 find that fresh pavement? He will. The 24 will lift and let the 11 in line.
3 wide behind him, though, for position.
Yeah, Brad is really struggling. Oh, Corey LaJoie has gone around.
He spins on lap 3. So Corey LaJoie around, bringing out the first caution. He was running 20th. 2 and 3 wide back here.
Wow. The 71, Zane Smith, looked like he was really loose on corner entry. The 7 was above him.
I think it was a 3-car, all-Spire car involved incident. The 77 got loose, caught the 71, who got the 7. That is not what the Spire Motorsports organization wants to see. It's nerve-wracking enough with all 3 cars on the racetrack.
So you battle for the lead. Going back a few laps ago, 5 trying to just use all the racetrack, and Blaney was there. That's what we talked about, though. Lap 5, you know, nobody was comfortable with their race cars. Everybody was guarding a little bit, afraid of what their cars, you know, how they were going to drive. The track is so slick. It is so hot outside, and you just don't know. First race here with this pavement, so much to learn.
Yeah, the repaves in turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 have built up the speed here as we see the temperature starting to climb now, also inside these cars. But Steve, I think that was one of the big questions, is why were we seeing something different in that practice? But you had mentioned the loads were so much more because they were going so much faster.
Yeah, even at the tire test, which was just a few weeks ago, there's Ryan Sparks, the crew chief for Corey LaJoie, waiting for pit road to open to assess the damage on the 7 car. So a few weeks ago, these teams came and tested, and the 20 right there, Adam Stevens, was one of those teams. They came, they had a lot of confidence. When we came back this weekend, they're one of the cars that failed the right front tire. Well, the lap times were almost 1 second faster. So all the simulation, we talk a lot about simulation that the teams have and Goodyear has. That's all under the assumption of how fast they were 3 weeks ago. Well, you come back and you go 1 second faster, you can imagine how much higher those loads are, and that's really what happened, right? The math problem has a few just assumptions in it. Pace is one thing, and in this situation, the pace was assumed incorrect.
Spire Motorsports, not the start they were looking for in Iowa, as it was Corey LaJoie who ends up going around, tagging the outside wall and bringing out the first caution. NBC Sports coverage of NASCAR on USA is brought to you by Iowa Corn Growers. From Unleaded 88, grown by Iowa corn farmers. Credit One Bank, NASCAR American Express card. Toyota, let's go places. And by Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle auto, home, and motorcycle insurance. Visit progressive.com. So 3 laps in and fighting for position. They're back in the 20th position as we bring out the first caution with Corey LaJoie. Up front, the battle was pretty heated early with Blaney and Larson. Let's listen in to Kyle Larson's radio.
Seems fine so far. Like, I'm sure he's just building into it, but I beat him pretty bad on entry. I don't know if he's guarding bumps or he's just guarding grip, but I can charge in harder than he can.
Yep, 10-4.
Getting ready for the restart. As it will be Larson on the outside, Blaney on the inside. Into the restart zone and back into the gas they go. Drag race into turn 1 and Larson harder into 1. Can he clear him? He does.
Well, that's exactly what Kyle was talking about right there in the radio communication, that he had so much more confidence, wasn't sure what was wrong with the 12 on entry, but he felt better with his car. Now the 4 moves into second, the 14 of Briscoe.
Chase Briscoe looking strong in practice on Friday, and now running up in the second spot here. Stewart-Haas Racing announced they're closing down their doors, so you know that Chase Briscoe, looking for the best runs he can, as he's almost auditioning every race now. Josh Berry on the outside in the 4.
None of these cars ran the outside in practice on Friday. The track wasn't ready. It did not have rubber in it. The Xfinity race rubbered the racetrack up. So this is the first time that these cars have been there. Drivers are learning what the cars will do up there and what they won't.
I want to thank 2311 and specifically that 45 car, because with that hamburger scheme, I don't get it confused with any other car on the track. Makes it a little easier to pick out.
Josh Berry in that 4 car. As soon as he could get to the bottom, had been stuck on the top for most of this race. As soon as he had a hole to get to the bottom, Dave, he just drove down there.
You guys mentioned Chase Briscoe running in second place now in the 14. It's tough to have a deep bench when your organization has announced that it's closing, but that happened 3 weeks ago when SHR announced that. So the deep bench had to come into play this weekend because Richard Boswell had pneumonia and Mike Cook, the engineer, had to take over for things. So Boswell said it's the first time I've ever had a car at the track I was in charge of, and I wasn't there. Boswell is here now. Great job, Mike Cook. They got him a great starting spot, and Chase Briscoe's trying to win.
Briscoe a half a second behind Larson right now, with Blaney closing in on his back bumper.
You know, Dave brings up a good point. You know, it's tough news for all those employees of SHR about the doors closing at the end, but I've been impressed. I know, you know, it's hard to hear that information, but here you have Briscoe running second under attack now from the 12 of Blaney. The 10 looked great in practice. The 4 of Josh Berry is running sixth. You know, this team, even with this adversity in front of them, are continuing to bring great race cars.
Yeah. Somebody that's not had a good start of this race, Brad Keselowski, started 5th. He is all the way back to 18th. He said he's chattering the rear tires. What that means is the rear tires are making no grip. He's way too loose. And he can feel him shaking across the racetrack. And when you're doing that, you cannot be aggressive with the race car. He is trying to keep pace without wrecking it.
He's got A.J. Allmendinger on the inside in the 16. And that's Denny Hamlin in the 11 just in front of him.
We mentioned SHR, 41 of Ryan Preece right behind those 2 cars. leaderboard here with Ty Gibbs, the Monster Energy cam. Great look off the roof. Kind of just see the rhythm of this racetrack, the patience it requires. All the drivers really talked about just how fast the track felt. The new pavement, once the tires come in, Jeff, has so much grip that it just feels fast, the radius of the corners.
They said Dover fast, which is,
wow.
Dover is banked much more than this racetrack, but this new asphalt, just so much grip.
Yeah, this one is 7/8 mile oval. A lot less banking in the turns compared to Dover, that 1 mile concrete oval.
You know, and Gibbs doing a really nice job, 86 points above the cut line in the playoffs. We talk about some of the biggest names kind of outside with Kyle Busch and Joey Logano. Ty Gibbs finding a little bit of that consistent comfort. We're starting to see getting to the finish, you know, understanding when to kind of give, when to take, as we see a good battle here between the 10, Noah Gragson, the 38, the blue and white car, Gilliland. There's that 2 who's in a backup car, Austin Cindric, making some moves through the field. He's up 11 spots since the start of the race.
And we talk about tires, right? Like, do they matter, do they not? Saw Corey LaJoie with a spin. Came in, put on tires. He has gained spots. So we heard a lot about new tires don't matter, but it seemed to help Corey LaJoie. Martin Truex is not having a good start to this race. He did not like his car at all in qualifying. Told me that it was the worst car he had driven in qualifying in a long time. Kim.
And despite that early incident by Corey LaJoie, he really liked the car on fire off, said it has good rotation with throttle. When they did a once-over when he came down pit road, no damage to that race car. So let's watch Corey LaJoie move through the field with fresher tires.
Yeah, unfortunate on lap 4. Corey LaJoie got spun around and is trying to battle back. He was running in the 20th position before the spin. Now he's up to 25th.
And I like how it looked right there, Jeff. Really turned to the bottom. He either has a great race car or maybe fresher tires, those new front tires working.
Yeah, and he's past the 11 car. Denny Hamlin is going the wrong way. He is falling like a rock.
Surprising, too, for Denny Hamlin, who's so good on short tracks. Maybe you've missed something here at the start of this race.
I'll give you some advice. Don't count him out.
Yeah, exactly.
This racetrack is going to change a great deal. His car's,
tires are all backwards.
It's really tight. It won't turn is what he's complaining about, and he's confused. It's like the tires are on backwards. Right. That's a hey, crew chief. I don't know what to tell you. It's horrible. But this racetrack is going to change a great deal as it rubbers up. So if your guy is running good right now, he might could later. And by the way, if your guy's running really well now, that doesn't mean he's going to later either, Dave.
I mean, Denny has fallen crazy to the back, started 10th, all the way back to 28th now, and the word he used was plowing. That's like the worst case of tight. The car will not turn when he wants it to in the corner, Marty.
Meanwhile, Dave, William Byron has fallen back 4 spots after starting 4th today. What's going on with the 24 car? Listen in.
Feels pretty good so far. I think the top was just dirty. Good. Let them make the mistakes. Be good defense here.
So the handling is not bad, Steve, but listen to what Rudy Fiegel said. Let them make the mistakes, play defense right now. How much of this early part of the race, Steve, for your driver is just kind of hanging on to what he can?
Well, that's absolutely just manage it. It wasn't what Byron said that I cared about. It's how he said it. Nonchalant, feels pretty good, no panic. I've lost a couple spots. I think it was just dirty. I know he's only 26, but he acts like a mid-30-year-old driver with 500 starts. He's just so confident behind the wheel, so calm, so collected. And you see him now trying to work past the 8 of Kyle Busch.
William Byron already 3 wins on the 2024 season. He's another driver. Definitely don't count him out. Early in this race, it's Kyle Larson still up front in Iowa. NASCAR Drive, that's your live race day companion. You can follow your favorite drivers with access to their in-car cameras, or you can choose from alternate camera angles and customize your streaming experience. Visit NASCAR.com/drive, or you can download the NASCAR mobile app. And the 51, Justin Haley.
Yeah,
one of the drivers doing well.
Not just well, I mean, we knew that Justin Haley's move to Rick Ware Racing was about performance. They said it. Rick Ware, I have had some conversations with this organization. They have Better motors, better equipment, newer cars, more technology, trying to improve. They thought that Haley was going to be a big step in the right direction. It's taken a little bit, but 2 top 10s in the last 4 races, currently running inside the top 10 in 9th right now, Kim.
And when I talked with the team this morning, they said the hard part is what's coming easy to them, and that's making fast race cars. It's everything else, the execution. So that's what they're focusing on for the next 10 races, getting everything perfect. That's from the pit crew to the setup changes throughout a race. So right now they have the speed. It's about putting together full races, Marty.
Kim, top of the screen, yes, your eyes do not deceive you. That is Denny Hamlin going down a lap here, just 35 laps into the race at Isle. Meanwhile, Alex Bowman, Brad Daugherty's dark horse pick for the day, started 33rd once everything cycled, actually took the green flag in 31st. He is up to 16th. He's gained 15 spots. Blake Harris told me earlier today, Steve, we've had the speed all year long. What we're doing better lately is finishing races. What an impressive first stint here for Alex Bowman.
Marty, there are some that disagree, but I think without a doubt this 48 will go to victory lane at some point this year. They run too good, too consistently. He's never been a flashy race team, you know, not go out and dominate and lead laps, but they know how to hang around and win these toss-up races.
He can surprise some people, and looking strong here today as he's moved from the back toward the middle of the pack and looking to break into the top 15. Martin Truex Jr. He is currently in the 24th position, and the announcement was made on Friday that he would be stepping away from full-time racing. Some people expected it. It's been over the last couple years that announcement was possible out there. Such incredible numbers for Martin Truex Jr. 2 times the Xfinity Series champion. He's won a Cup Series championship in 2017. His numbers are staggering, Hall of Fame numbers at that, but decided that it was time for a change. Doesn't want to put together the years of work that he has to do every single season to come out and race on a weekly basis.
How about it, though, Jeff? He said, I heard the number 10 in 2025. We didn't get any real number till you put him on the spot. You got him committed to some races.
We put him on the couch. He relaxed. He's such a good race car driver and a good person. And you know, Kim, the thing about Martin is he can win this championship this year, like Rick just said. And it's rarely do drivers leave or athletes leave when they're at the top of the career, but Martin Truex Jr. can still get it done.
Absolutely, he'll go out on top, and you see his crew chief James Small right there. I talked to James this morning, wanted to get the vibe of the team and the shop now that the announcement is out there. Not surprised, they expected this, they knew it was coming, but James told me it was good to get it out of the way. He said this discussion has happened during this specific part of the season every year for the last few years, and it has been a significant distraction. So now that it's out in the open, he feels like they can focus just on racing. He told me the first goal, win a race, the second goal, win a championship and go out on top.
Lofty goals, but he can do it. And the reason we know that is because he's done it in the past.
We mentioned the 51 running well up inside the top 10. Another driver having a good run. 21 of Harrison Burton currently in the 15th position. And this team, I think, is looking for a little bit of a highlight, right? He's had 5 career top 10s. He had 1 this year at Talladega. It seems like they either are on the wrong end of the strategy or on the wrong end of a wreck. They haven't seemed to found anything to go their way. They definitely need more speed, but they haven't had a whole lot of luck to go with the lack of speed. Cars looking good so far this weekend, Dave.
Well, Steve, he's qualified 25th, so you wonder why that happened. When I talked to Jeremy Bowens, the crew chief, about that, he said, well, we kind of over-adjusted. You know, we had what we had in practice, thought we needed to go where we went, and it was too far. So coming back to the field now is not a huge surprise for Burton. He's up to 15th.
Another young driver that's having a good day and has had a lot of speed as of late. Really this whole year is Noah Gragson. We all saw him in practice on Friday. He was absolutely flying. He's one of the guys that would not surprise me to see win this race, and did not qualify well like a lot of guys didn't, but he is driven up to 17th. So recovering well from what they, you know, an underachieving qualifying session, but they still have a good race car.
Well, a good race car. And that's important because look what's happening. Kyle Larson has already lapped to the 30th place car, 25 laps to go. He has 2 seconds on Blaney, 10 seconds on Josh Berry in third. This 5 car is really putting a performance on, and you can see a little bit of the vice starting to tighten on the cars in front. They do not want to go a lap down.
I'm going to just point out the number of laps we've run now. 24 laps have been run. In practice on Friday, it was about that 20-lap mark when we started to see tire issues. Are these crew chiefs, teams, drivers right now saying, okay, are we still good? Anybody feeling vibrations out there?
Well, they're definitely concerned. I don't know if we see as many vibrations as just a tire failure. I think the slower pace in the sunshine has helped. These smart crew chiefs and engineers have made adjustments. But remember, it's easy to be a little conservative to start. But as the race goes, as the sun sets, when it's time to go, time to turn that wick up, how aggressive do you dare be with air pressure, and how much harder can the driver go?
Yeah, and as a driver, I'm nervous because if we have the tire failures like we had on Friday, I'm not going to get a warning. It's just going to fail. And so, yes, I'm nervous right now because you're flying around this racetrack. It's going to be a big hit. Speaking of tires, you know, a lot of conversation about tires aren't going to matter. They all run the same speed. Well, this 7 car got in that spin early. They came down pit road, put on 4 tires, and he has driven up to 19th. And we're not the only one noticing this. The crew chiefs on pit road, the drivers, everybody is noticing this drive toward the middle of the pack. And it's going to make you think, hey, are tires worth putting on where they came into this race thinking they didn't matter that much?
We saw inside the car 113 degrees now. The temperature for Corey LaJoie at speed here. Also looking in on Ryan Sparks. Again, we'll join that team.
Here you go. That was Corey. Little too tight, little neutral in. Good feedback. As the 5 of Kyle Larson laps Corey's teammate. 77 of Carson Hocevar. A little bit of a moment here for the 5. Let's take a peek. Ooh, yeah. That wiggle real early.
And the 16 gets into the wall in turn 2, bringing out the caution for the second time. Now, is this a tire failure for A.J. Allmendinger?
Well, there's contact and a flat right front. We'll have to see which came first, the tire or the contact. Second day in a row. Big hit yesterday for A.J. in the Xfinity car. I mean, a big, big hit. Seems like, I don't know, the shape of this track, when they have tire issues, the angle of the car into the wall is definitely not what you'd like to see. That's a good break for Carson Hocevar. I think he might be in the position for the free pass. Let's see, Jeff, tire first, maybe?
Way out of the line.
Yeah, fortunately, he felt it, and he was up the racetrack, and, you know, fortunately, it failed where it did. It didn't fail in the middle of the corner, so it wasn't as big of an impact.
So let's just talk a little bit. Yesterday, the tires were kind of getting too hot, blistering, shaking, vibrating. What's happening here is because there's so much load, it's really called a belt failure. What that basically means is the tire has not enough air or too much camber for how much load. And what happens right there at the corner of the tire, it just bends and bends and bends and bends, kind of like a coat hanger. It finally bends too much that something inside the tire breaks, starts losing even more air, and then it finally gets too low that it just gives up and it goes flat. The problem with that is drivers sometimes, Jeff, to your fear, you don't usually get a lot of heads up. Like, luckily for him, he felt it at the end of the straightaway, but unlike a tire that shakes, you don't normally get laps of notice.
And Steve, you being my crew chief, you could make it where we never blow a tire. Like, you could put so much air in the tire and take all the camber out where it's never going to blow a tire and I'm going to run dead last. So it's easy to say we'll be conservative, but low air pressure and camber makes the car go faster. So it is a balancing act between making the car live, making the tires live, and making the car drive well. And that's the challenge that every one of these teams has ahead of them for today.
I love the looks on the crew chief. It brings me right back to just how much is going on. You know, I take for granted how much information we have up here. You kind of have to be down on the pit box, and they have all the screens and the computers. But, man, sometimes you can just get stuck in your own little world down there. They do such a good job of controlling the chaos. Let's see who does what with only 17 laps to go on the stage. Larson to pit road. I assume everyone on the lead lap will use this opportunity to get fresh tires. Marty?
Look at that gap Kyle Larson had coming to pit road. William Byron, his teammate, up to third, said the car was tight in the center, not too bad. And then Davey said the tires started to shake towards the end of that run, but it wasn't significant.
Chase Briscoe gives up 5th for 4 new, fresh Goodyear tires. Says when I pick up the throttle, the right rear just isn't in the track. They'll make adjustments for that.
Kyle Larson telling his team, I cut better than the others, just a little bit tight in traffic, but good in clean air as they put 4 fresh Goodyear tires on that machine of Kyle Larson. He is down and away.
Synchronization impressive for the 5 team as they win the race off of pit road. And you see the top 4 all holding their positions. A 2-tire stop for Corey LaJoie gains him quite a few spots coming off of pit road. It's a 16 right there of A.J. Allmendinger. Cuts a right front tire into the wall hard here in Iowa. Thanks for joining us for the first ever Cup race at Iowa Speedway. It's the Iowa Corn 350 powered by ethanol. 2 cautions already. Most recent for A.J. Allmendinger as field getting ready to stack back up again and ready for the restart.
So you never want to go a lap down, but if you do, you want it to happen just like it just did for all of these cars that you just saw pass the pace car, because with only 14 laps to go in the stage, they're going to come back around, they're going to drop the green flag with 12 to go. So that gives them enough time to stay on racetrack and not get lapped. And then the caution will come out for the stage end. They'll all come down pit road. They'll be back on the lead lap and get 4 tires. So little things in racing matter. And when the caution comes out, had a big advantage for all those guys that got lapped.
Steve, what about Suarez and Keselowski both staying out? They did not come to pit road.
They did not come to pit road. I really think this is a race for a stage point. I think Brad Keselowski, you know, he's won that race. He's in the playoffs, but he doesn't have a whole lot of playoff points. And there's an opportunity to win this stage and get another playoff point. Same for the 99. Remember, this risk for these front 2 is smaller because they have both won a race. So now it's about filling that bucket. Now back to Jeff's point about fresh tires on the 7. This is going to be the real test because they're going to have to try to hold off brand new tires. They actually may fire better than the stickers. This may work for the short 10-lap run. A lot's going to be learned here.
And a 2-tire stop for the 7. So we'll see if 2 tires work out well for Corey LaJoie. But again, as we mentioned, they did not come. Suarez and Keselowski did not come to pit road this most recent caution. So they are on the same tires they started the race with.
Green.
For the 99 and the 6, it's this set of corners right here. Will their car turn and get away?
Good launch for Suarez. And a little wiggle there through the middle of 2. Here comes Kyle Larson.
I don't think they'll get stage points.
The answer is no. It didn't turn and get away. Kyle Larson just bullied his way through. And to your point, Jeff, this is not what we were seeing with tires, as we see 3 wide there.
3 wide
2
for
tires
fourth.
seems to be working good for LaJoie. I think he's the car down there in the bottom, if I'm not mistaken, that Iowa paint scheme.
On the inside there with Gainbridge as we're riding along with Corey. Chevrolet on board.
All right, so after that first corner, they seem to settle down a little bit on those older tires.
Maybe they just weren't clean. We saw that yesterday, the Xfinity Series race. Remember those hot tires? They just wouldn't go for a corner just because they weren't clean enough.
Under 10 to go now in stage 1 from Iowa. It's still 3 wide back here as Gibbs and that Monster Energy on board. Now a fight for the lead. Here comes Blaney again.
He rolled the top of 1 and 2 and jumped out on that quarter panel of the 5 car. Almost surprised him on corner exit. Good adjustments on the 12 car. Big slide.
And so Blaney's going to try to check out now as Larson will tuck in behind him. There's Joey Logano. Logano's so good on new racetracks. When you go to a track for the first time, Logano's won a couple of those already in the last couple years. Ryan Blaney out in front of this field, Kim. Oh, into the wall. Little hit there coming out of turn 4.
That was pretty big contact.
I think it was the 54 of Ty Gibbs. I believe Gibbs got into the wall coming out of 4. He continues at speed. Sorry about that, Kim.
No worries. Ryan Blaney, despite being out front, might have an issue with his cool suit. He was complaining about it. The team telling him, we need to do the right thing. The driver cooling switch, you need to shut it off. Give it about 30 seconds before you turn it back on for reset. And then remember your remote as well. So if he does have a cool suit failure, what does this mean for a driver under the hot conditions we have here at Iowa today?
Well, it's 90 degrees, Kim, and that is going to be tough. I mean, these guys are in great shape. They put a ton of work into training, but it's hard to train for heat. And this is not going to be a short race. And we go into the night, but the temperatures don't really come down that much. So he's going to be tested. There's no doubt.
This is the 54 riding along.
a bad angle, Jeff? Just kind of got a little too high?
Yeah, just up the racetrack some, and you know, we've seen that you can get up the racetrack, but you know, you get too high and there's no grip.
Just a real quick update. We gave him so much credit for running so well. The 51 of Justin Haley, currently 30th. They had equipment interference on the pit stop, so a penalty for the 51 car. For the Rick Ware Racing fans, that's what happened to your driver, the 51 on that last pit cycle.
And you see this 20 car, Christopher Bell, battling with Ty Gibbs. Remember, that's a backup car. He was one of those drivers that had a tire failure on Friday, a backup car, had to start in the back. Done a nice job of working himself up to get in some decent track position.
Currently running 19th. That's Christopher Bell, trying to take the 18th spot away from Ty Gibbs.
At a bottom left-hand screen, Suarez, one of those drivers that stayed out. I said he wasn't going to get stage points. He's proven me wrong. He's hung in there well in third.
Josh Berry trying to make the move around the 24 and a fight for the lead as Blaney up the racetrack, and here comes Larson once again. Side by side as they come back onto the front stretch with 2 laps to go in stage 1.
Well, Kyle Larson's in a big battle for the regular season championship. Remember, he missed that race at Charlotte, yet lost the lead and then took it back. So he's thinking not just a playoff point, but those 10 points towards that goal. And Blaney is definitely thinking some points. Remember, he has yet to win a race, right? He's that guy that's currently on points.
Reigning series champion Ryan Blaney coming back to 1 to go in stage 1. Racing all over the track right now as you see the racing on the bottom of your screen. But a 3-car length lead for Blaney as he goes down the backstretch for the final time in this stage. Larson a final push. Doesn't look like he'll have enough time, and so Blaney is going to get the second stage win of 2024 here. Larson was second. Fight for third is won by Daniel Suarez, William Byron fourth, Josh Berry fifth. So Suarez staying outworked. Brad Keselowski eighth. Corey LaJoie, how about after a spin early in this race, getting a top 10 finish in stage 1? You're watching the Iowa Corn 350 powered by ethanol. Ryan Blaney wins stage 1.
NASCAR's second half is on NBC, USA, and Peacock.
We're racing at New Hampshire. Green flag in the air at Nashville. NASCAR in the streets of Chicago.
NASCAR's second half continues in New Hampshire on USA.
Gorgeous early evening in the heartland here of Newton, Iowa, and Iowa Speedway, as you're going to notice quite a few cars are going to stay on the racetrack as pit road is open, but since the late caution, that's going to send a limited number onto pit road. Dave.
Brad Keselowski's one of those. You knew he wanted some fresh tires after staying out on that last restart. He said to his crew chief, help me on the short run with rear grip and on the long run with front grip. Kim?
As we look at cars making their way down this end of pit road, including Daniel Suarez, he said the car was good, just a little bit free. And then also we have Corey LaJoie making his stop there at the bottom. Feels really good, just a tick tight on throttle for that Chevrolet.
So we're seeing some of the cars come off of pit road and really looking forward to what's going to happen here. Marty and Kim are going to join the 20 and 7 teams to immerse us fans in the details of the race day happenings on the pit box, over the wall, and in the spotters stand. That will happen coming up in stage 2.
The U.S. Olympic team trials continue tomorrow on NBC and Peacock.
Back at Iowa Speedway, about to start stage 2, and I want to brag on this entire 20 team who I am hanging out with on top of their pit box, the very first stall here on pit road. We talked about how they went to a backup car, so what goes into the work in getting a backup car ready? Adam Stevens told me it took 8.5 extra hours to make that happen. Up to 12 guys working on the car to get it ready and just get it going. They worked until 10:30 at night here in the garage area Friday. They had a 45-minute drive to the hotel. They slept 4 hours. They were up at 4:30 in the morning. NASCAR let them in at 6 a.m. Saturday to finish the car. The car has not been on the track since Martin Truex Jr. raced it last year at Martinsville. And so far, all of these guys and the driver have gotten it up into the field, Kim.
Well, Marty, it's already been an action-packed day for Corey LaJoie. And as we look at his resume at Iowa Speedway, he's been quite the journeyman. Before he was full-time Cup Series racing, he did anything he could to be immersed in the sport. So here at Iowa Speedway, Corey LaJoie has played crew chief for Brody Kostecki in the ARCA Series, putting his driver on the pole. He is spotted for Brandon McReynolds. But maybe the most interesting thing you're seeing right there, he changed the tires for Hill Brothers Racing back in 2013. Corey also has an ARCA win here at Iowa Speedway. And speaking of wins, crew chief Ryan Sparks right next to me, he got his first National Series win right here at Iowa Speedway as an engineer for Austin Dillon in the Truck Series back in 2010.
We love it, Marty. And Kim, thank you guys for being a part of that. Christopher Bell is going to restart in 11th. We're going to listen in to his spotter, Stevie Reeves, on the restart.
Green flag. Rolling. At the line. Now. Bottom of three. Bottom of three. One outside. Bottom of three. Bottom of three. Bottom of three. Bottom of three. Barely. Back to one outside. One outside. One outside. One outside. Clear. Clear.
Fight for the lead up front. Blaney on the inside. Larson powering by on the outside. He clears him as they go down the backstretch.
Saw a big wiggle back in the pack. I think that was Harrison Burton with a big tank slap off turn 2. Nice job of saving it. LaJoie and the 6 of Keselowski were happy that he saved it as well. They were kind of had front row seats. I love listening to Stevie Reeves, how calm he is on the radio. Right here, 3 wide on the bottom. I think it's the 42 of John Hunter.
Yep, contact, and around goes the 10 of Noah Gragson and keeps it straight, but the caution does come out.
Yeah, I would listen into the 10 radio here, but I'm not sure it'd be safe for TV.
Here. Just keep your head about you. You're all good.
Keep your head about you. Yep. Oh yeah, he's.
See Martin.
Yeah, I think they're all trying to find their spot in line here again, but.
So John Hunter Nemechek got into the 10 of Noah Gragson there.
NASCAR threw the caution because they thought it was going to be a wreck. I did too. I don't know how it wasn't a wreck.
But it split up super hard, so I don't know. But it should be all right.
That's conversation. Crew chief instantly, hey, you flat spot the tires. What happened? Here's going to be Noah's frustration. Look at John Hunter. They're already 2 lanes down. Now 10 does block, but then the 42 kind of enters so low and so shallow. He doesn't mean to get into him. He's loose. The 42's loose, but he still was the aggressor and caused the accident.
They were fighting for the 21st position.
Yeah, it's frustrating when you come off, you get a run on somebody and they just block you that badly down the back straightaway. And John Hunter's just like, hey, I'm going to ship it in here, and this is the end result.
I could see that. To your point, if the 10 doesn't move down, then the 42 gets to his inside and he's kind of in a more proper line to enter the corner.
Now, you've been around this long enough to know they're not exactly rational thinkers in there with the helmets on.
Well, it's real simple. If I'm the crew chief of the 42, you blocked. And if I'm the crew chief of the 10, you wrecked me.
Exactly.
But what a save by Noah Gragson.
Yeah.
Able to get that thing going the right direction again.
So the interesting thing is, what do you do here? That's a big slide on tires. I don't know what the right call is. There's still a lot of laps left.
I mean, I'll be honest, where he's at now, 33rd in line, I think I would come in, take him off. This isn't like the old style where you have to glue lug nuts back on to put them back in. Other concerns, you clean them up, put them right back on later in the race. So I think I would want to look at them to make sure we haven't done something to hurt the tire.
Well, he's had such a fast car. I mean, we've seen speed out of the 10. This is a situation where it's very early in the race. There's still 268 laps to go in this race. We see the 20 team looking pretty relaxed. Doesn't seem like they're going to be making their way onto pit road anytime soon. Well, It's not too late to get in the game with NASCAR Fantasy Live. You can create an entry by picking 5 drivers plus a garage driver to compete. Fantasy Live lets you keep tabs of your lineup and make in-race adjustments to maximize your score. Visit NASCAR.com/fantasy. Well, it's up to 116 now for the driver of the 7, Corey LaJoie. Kyle Larson is on pit road. A little surprised here, and a lonely pit road for Kyle Larson. Kim.
And when I talked to crew chief Cliff Daniels this morning, he said they were laying everything out on the table in terms of strategy. He said, we didn't know what we were going to do until the race started. You're seeing it in action in real time, electing to come down, but it does look like they have a tire issue on the right side. So maybe not a strategy call, just a tire issue for Kyle Larson.
Yeah, and I think the tire issue, looking at their radio, is that contact with the 12. I think he was afraid that he had rubbed the sidewall of one of the tires. I think it's the left rear they're talking about, so we'll have to see what it looks like after it comes off the car.
Larson, the only one to come down pit road. We didn't even see the 10 after this amazing save come down pit road.
Back at Iowa Speedway after Kyle Larson was the lone car down pit road. Didn't know if it was strategy or a tire issue. Was in fact tires. Kyle Larson came on the radio, said his left felt very strange. They came down, changed tires. I checked in with the tire specialist. You're seeing the left rear. They said there were no problems they could see on the tire despite what Larson felt in the car.
It's funny, you know, I mean, you can see that right there, you see him going back and forth, and the Goodyear, the yellow part actually touches the tire. You know, you're so low on air. I know this doesn't look like a short track, but it's a short track. You're low on air, that he thought he had a tire going on, a flat tire. So better safe than sorry they caught him in the pit road.
William Byron will be on the inside this time for the restart with Ryan Blaney on the outside. Byron holding tough on the inside. Blaney just clearing him as we see Logano now working to the outside.
Whoa, Chase Elliott sideways off the corner.
And now in the middle of 3 wide, teammate Alex Bowman goes by him on the inside. And Bowman up the racetrack. Here comes Elliott once again as we see Logano was looking to the inside of Blaney, couldn't make that move. How about Chase Elliott regrouping now and forging ahead as he tries to get by the 48. Teammates for the 14, a little contact.
I tell you, the 4 of Josh Berry, he's been exceptionally aggressive. He's laid his door on several people and just kind of moved them out of the groove.
Very close to 3 wide there as Suarez was on the bottom. Berry was trying to take that lower line. So early in this run, watch Chase Elliott here in the 9.
Yeah, just trying to accelerate out of the corner, and this 3 wide battle, I mean, it's tight getting down on these corners. That's just good racing there.
Good racing up front as Blaney and Logano now running 1 and 2.
Well, that car in second, Joey Logano, the car in fourth, the 8 of Kyle Busch. You know, I know the 12 hasn't won yet either, but he has a ton of points. Those 2 cars haven't won and entered below the cut line. So this is the types of run these 2 drivers need.
Surprising that two-time champions in this sport have yet to win in 2024, and we've heard Kyle Busch mention numerous times that he's not so worried about the playoffs as much as he is. He's got a win streak going that he has been able to win for so many years. Every year that he's been in Cup, that is in jeopardy if he can't find victory lane again. Battle for 6 on the top of your screen. Elliott has the spot. Josh Berry running a little lower line trying to take it away, and then you see the cluster down on the bottom. Kyle Larson getting passed by a few cars on the high side here.
He has Truex up there in the third lane trying to make something happen. Larson does a nice job of rolling the bottom very patiently.
Harrison Burton on the outside of Larson now as he dives into 3.
You know what amazes me is we're now currently 8 laps into this green flag run, and we have Brian Blaney in first, and I'll go all the way back to say Eric Jones in 30th is only 6 seconds behind. Right, the whole field is basically still on one straightaway. I know that sounds like something very trivial, but the level of competition from first to 30th is so close. That's why all those little things, the wave bys, the pit stops, the decisions, they all matter more than they've ever mattered because of the close competition.
Blaney a 3-car lead over Logano currently. And it's William Byron back in 3rd. Kyle Busch, Josh Berry in the top 5. Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain, Bowman on the top 10. Here again, Kyle Larson.
Oh boy.
Wow, that's tight.
He's doing a nice job. He's all the way up now inside the 7 of Corey LaJoie, who's running 18th. So, oh boy, man.
After concern about his tires, Larson comes to pit road, back out on track, now trying to work his way back toward the front.
Rick, I thought the story you told this morning about Kyle Larson, you went to Knoxville last night, you said he had to get to a transfer spot in his heat. First corner, like 10th to 5th, right? Yeah. The way he drives, it's consistent. He looked that way in the Indy car up in Indianapolis. He looks that way in the sprint car, looks that way in the stock car. He kind of only knows one speed, and it's fun to watch.
Well, he's definitely one of the best drivers in the world in whatever he gets behind. We saw that from the Indy 500 that he ran earlier in May as we're riding along on the Toyota onboard with Christopher Bell. Bell now has a mirror full, and maybe look out the side. Kyle Larson, the man on the move, continuing to go toward the front. Bell running in the 15th position, just passed by the 5. Bell going by the Hamburglar. Tyler Reddick.
Makes me hungry just saying it.
A little bit closer for the lead now as Logano has closed the gap to about a car length when they get through the turns.
This battle for the lead is important. You know, Joey Logano has talked about how their mile-and-a-half program is not where he wants it to be. This is where he feels they have got to get points. He's in a tight point battle. He's in a position where he may not make the playoffs, and that's hard to even imagine. So there's a lot of pressure on Logano and this tight team to get points and have a good day. So far, it started off good.
We've seen
Josh Berry trying to still get by that 24 of William Byron.
Well, I was going to mention Josh Berry. We've seen 2 tires now on a couple different cars. Josh Berry did take 2 tires at lap 73, which was the end of stage 1. So, you know, versus William Byron in front of him last on pit road at lap 54 for 4 tires.
And Steve, fuel, the issue here potentially, this is a 140 lap stage. So those cars that didn't come in, what number are we looking for when they'll have to come to pit road?
Well, everybody can run a little over 100. So the guys that were last on pit road at lap, 54, they probably need to come after yellows, probably 160, 165. They always seem to go a little further than they tell me they can. So I'll say 160, 165.
And Marty, how's it going on the 20 pit box?
Let's chat with Adam Stevens from the back of the field to 16th for Christopher Bell. We heard Christopher say he struggles on the early part of the run, Adam. Is that basically a product of having to go maybe a little more conservative than you would have liked after what happened in practice?
Like whatever balance we've come up with, taking off a little bit freer than we want. And the balance is swinging pretty tight now, so we're going to have to come up with a little bit better compromise. But we kind of at a bad spot with our camber and our air pressure trying to make it live, and it's hurting the short runs.
There you go, Kim, and appreciate Adam talking to us under green here.
As we catch up with crew chief Brian Sparks. Brian, we've already seen you guys mix up the strategy in terms of 2 tires and 4. How much more can we see in terms of a variety of strategies?
Well, obviously we had that spin early on, so we had to do something different to get back up front. Corey's doing a nice job. Game Bridge, Chevrolet Camaro is really fast today. We're super pumped about that. We got a few tricks up our sleeve here. We'll probably save it to the end, though.
And let's start. Not only does Brian serve as crew chief, he's a dual
Bush was hired in when Spire decided to run their own charters. He did a really nice job growing that organization, calling good races for the 7. I want to go back to what Adam Stevens said. You know, they showed up with what they thought would work. They failed the tire. They had to make adjustments. They did. And you kind of heard what he said. We're kind of in a box. Remember, you can adjust air pressure, but you can't really adjust camber. And that's what these teams have had to go with. It's great that both of these crew chiefs would talk to us under green. The other thing to point out is that noise is real. So you see all these people in the pit box. The back 2 rows, they're normally sponsors, dignitaries, maybe some team executives. The front row, each team does it a little different. The 20 of Adam Stevens has a crew chief, his car chief, and an engineer. The 7 of Corey LaJoie has a couple engineers up front. They normally have an intercom system, so while it sounds very loud, they can press a different button and have a private channel that doesn't even go over the airwaves, like a closed circuit intercom that whole front row on the 7 can talk to one another while everyone has an assignment. The crew chief can focus at the task at hand, communicating with his driver. There you see the 20 on the top, right? You see the man with the helmet, Chris Sherwood. That's a car chief. He's ready to go in action if he needs to go over pit wall.
So again, Marty and Kim, a part of the 20 and 7 teams in this, the second stage, which there are 102 laps still to go in stage 2. Kyle Larson, we mentioned aggressive. Well, aggressively into turn 3, and almost a moment here with the 99 of Daniel Suarez up the racetrack. Brace yourself for something fuel nominal. Yeah, that's right. Fuel nominal. Unleaded 88 is cheaper, cleaner, and greener than regular unleaded. Plus, it's grown by farmers. So pump it up with unleaded 88. See the 34 on pit road. They've already changed the right tires. The right front looked to be down on Michael McDowell's car when he came to pit road.
He was running in 8th position, so had a good race car, but tire went down. Fortunately, not big contact. Just a little scuff. See the right front's down.
Fortunately, the tire carcass stayed on it, so really no reason for a yellow. Didn't really put any debris out there for the rest of the teams.
Unfortunate for McDowell, as we mentioned, running up toward the front. Now McDowell will be at least a lap down as the battle for 6 continues to heat up. Ross Chastain just to the inside door of Kyle Busch. And Chastain makes the clear.
Jeff, we've been here all weekend, and I know what the drivers are talking about because they just look fast. I know that sounds silly because they're fast every week, but you would expect them to use more brake and have to slow the cars down to make these corners, but they just carry so much mid-corner speed.
You've had to change the mentality. You know, a lot of race car drivers that are running here today have run this racetrack, but it was without the repave, and it was a slick, big short track. And now you have a high grip, small 1.5 mile type racetrack. It is completely different than what they had here in the past. And yes, it's been a change for teams, been a change for drivers. But Dave, it's been fun for us to watch.
Absolutely has been, Jeff. You remember that short run at the beginning of stage 2? This was Bubba Wallace radio as the caution came out.
Any feel, man? Yeah, loose and pull.
Did you get a feel? Yeah, loose and out of breath. But since then, loose has been fast on the subsequent restart. Bubba Wallace was 17th. He's worked his way up to 12th. Grimace is coming.
Like you said, he was out of breath. I mean, you could hear him. That shows you the workload. You know, he was loose around here. Won't be any fun at all.
What about where his hands are, Jeff? Holding the steering wheel.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people drive like that. I mean, everybody has a different driving style. There's no right or wrong way to do it. But you can see he's pretty steady on the wheel. No big movements. Car must be driving pretty decent. He's running 12th, make a good lap time.
Fight for the second spot coming up here between Byron and Logano.
Yeah, and Chase Elliott has run this duo down, running that second lane that you talked about, Jeff. You see the 9 purposely running 1 lane up. How about the 9 car? Got the win. Maybe a little off some drivers' radar, which is surprising where he is in the points. He's second in points. He hasn't run outside the top 20 yet this year. I mean, what an amazing, consistent year for the 9.
That win at Texas earlier this year, got him into the playoffs.
Watch that 24 car. You know, these people talk a lot about these cars all being built from the same people, but they're not set up anywhere near the same. Watch the 24 as he goes into turn 1. Watch how big the bump is compared to the 22. They're coming down the front straightaway. As they approach turn 1, watch the back of the 24 car. Big bounce. That's different setup in that car than the 22. Marty.
Jeff talking about the performance of Chase Elliott. I talked to Alan Gustafson about that earlier this week. He told me it's very reminiscent of our championship run. You guys are right. It's been a phenomenal season. Best ever on average for Chase Elliott so far through 16 races. And it's interesting, Steve. Alan told me this morning at the beginning of runs, he was going to ask Chase to take it easy, take care of his tires for about 10 laps. That's showing up in speed later in the runs as the battle for second goes on right in front of him. But an interesting comment from Alan Gustafson. That makes sense to you, Steve. Take care of the tires early. They'll take care of you later.
Yeah, Byron clears Logano. I totally agree with Alan. You know, so much experience on top of the pit box. What he's saying is if you go a little easy, just a little, and take care of that right front tire, maybe I can start a half a pound lower or a pound lower, or maybe have a quarter degree more camber. But if you're too stubborn, or you say you can't and you have to go, I believe you and I'm going to give you what you need. That's a perfect example of how a driver crew chief have to be in unison, because Alan asked Chase to do something, sets the car up a certain way, and I have 100% confidence that Chase is executing exactly what Alan asked for at the beginning of these runs.
Jim.
You know, we talked to Joey Logano on our Countdown to Green show about the fact that he's outside the playoff grid, and when I spoke with him this morning, he said, yes, they're uncomfortable points-wise, but they have had solid days. He feels like their speed is in the ballpark to consistently run top 5. We're seeing him here today. He's running third right now, just a little bit loose in and loose off, Marty.
Kyle Busch trying to hang into the top 10 right now. He's in the 9th position, and he admitted, hey, we found some speed this weekend. Remember, short tracks the last couple of years have been the big struggle for them, but the handling is starting to go away on the 8 car. Right here on corner exit, car's way too tight, Steve, and then on corner entry, it's way too free. In fact, Kyle said a moment ago, right here going into turn 1, we're about wrecking, we're so loose.
Yeah, there's a lot of content as well. Like right before you get to that new pavement, it's pretty rough in the rear of the car. Let's listen into the 8.
Go tell the 48 in case he hasn't recognized it. Everybody runs everybody like a asshole. So welcome to the club. Yeah, he'll be all right. He hasn't run up front in a while here, so you should worry about his own shit, not yours.
Getting a little testy.
So apparently, maybe Kyle Busch took advantage of the 48 a little bit. He's like, hey, that's just how it is.
I want to hear your translation. The apparently. Oh, we have a car slow in the middle of 3 and 4. The 71 looks like another right front tire flat.
This time Zane Smith, yes, part of the right front tire coming off there as he got onto pit road with the right front down for the 71 of Zane Smith.
So now remember, we talked earlier about pace. They're faster. They're running 24, low 24-second laps in the sunshine. 24.1, 0.2-second laps. Now the leaders 23.9 second laps, even faster. We see a 23.90 on second. Shade starting to be in the middle of 3 and 4. I know 1 and 2's in the sun, but keep this in mind. Teams are either A, taking a layer of pressure out to make the cars drive better. Pace is picking up. This is going to be a crossroads in the next 100, 150 laps. Which team gambles too much? Which team maybe plays the safer hand and lets the race come to them?
Blaney with a 1.4 second advantage over William Byron. Chase Elliott has moved up to the 3rd position, and surprisingly, way down the field, all the way in 29th, is Denny Hamlin. Dave.
He's only 2 seconds ahead of Blaney on the top of your screen there, so he's getting ready to go down another lap. Listen to his recent radio.
Trying everything, Chris. Just keep getting the turn. Yeah, support. We're working in here too. Just keep up with it best you can.
Can't get it to turn. Earlier the team told me that the car felt to Denny like it was up out of the track. Let's go to Marty.
Dave, Kyle Busch couldn't stand it anymore. Way too free on entry. You saw that track bar adjustment for Kyle Busch. Too tight on exit. And Steve, I think this is going to open the floodgate. 75 to go here in the stage.
Yeah, we'll have to see. You know, the problem is, while you know, I think tires are a bit of an advantage for handling. I'm not sure new tires are a whole lot faster than what they're currently on. We'll see if the teams react. I mean, I have them to be able to go at least another 20 laps, so we'll see if the crew chiefs counter. I'm not sure the 8's going to worry too many other crew chiefs near the front.
Well, the other issue with pitting early, we've already seen 2 tire failures. So why isn't there going to be a 3rd or a 4th? They haven't caused caution yet, but if someone blows the tire getting into the corner, they hit the wall, the caution comes out. Now you've pitted too early, you're multiple laps down.
We would work good together.
The world thinks there are only 2 types of people. The French fryers and the Todd heads.
But what if there was a 3rd?
Who love the crispy, crunchy outside of our tots with the dippability of a fry. Introducing Groovy Fries. Finally, a potato option the entire world will love. Ooh. Oh, boy. Why would he even come to this? Live free, eat Sonic.
Live free? The Bush Guide, cold and smooth survival skills.
Hello?
Should you become stranded, be ready to signal rescuers. Bush.
How long have I been out here?
About 12 minutes. Head for the mountains.
When Just for Men eliminates gray, you get a great before and after. And then the after. That boost you get when you look and feel your best. And try one-day beard and brow color. The fastest, easiest way to cover grays and define lines. Scan QR code for a free sample.
All the parts you need at the prices you want. Guaranteed to fit every time. So you can keep your ride or die alive.
Ally has savings buckets to help you save for anything you want to buy. Because everyone has something they're saving for. Like that new car. Or a fancy vacation. Or party supplies. Your delivery budget. Or even the down payment on your dream home. Our savings buckets help you save for what matters most to you.
Did you see that? Battle for the lead. Hear that. Feel that. Is this how you prove you earn the crown?
Winning is in his DNA.
How you shut up the haters?
I love it.
Handle the heat?
Who's going to make the move?
It's going to be a must-win. Is this a shooting star? Rock star? Superstar? Okay. Let's all take a deep breath. Because once we peel out, there's no looking back. You ready?
.67 laps to go in stage 2 of the Iowa Corn 350, powered by ethanol. As we're seeing the 12 of Ryan Blaney close in on putting Denny Hamlin a lap down. Remember, Marty and Kim are a part of the 20 and 7 teams in this stage.
Denny Hamlin out of the groove.
And way up the racetrack, that's going to enable the 12 of Blaney to put him a lap down. And Denny Hamlin just continues to complain about the handling of that race car. It's been all good for Ryan Blaney up to this point. Ryan Blaney has 80 family members that are in attendance today here at Iowa Speedway. His mom Lisa grew up from about an hour from here, just south of Des Moines. As we see the 9 of Chase Elliott moving to the inside of William Byron. Chase Elliott takes that second spot away from Byron. Let's take a look at the Xfinity fastest lap, and it is Ryan Blaney. 23:51. That was on lap 69. And Steve, you mentioned things getting faster as the sun goes down. The track will cool off a bit.
And if you have to make a green flag pit stop, that's another concern. Remember, you put tires on under caution. You ride around for a couple laps. The air pressure builds because of the engine heat and the brake temperature. Crew chiefs are going to have to adjust. Under green flag, you leave pit road, you go down into turn 3 at full speed. So remember that whole take it easy on the 9 car. You can only take it so easy when you pit under green.
Kyle Larson. Yeah, I'm sorry. Kyle Larson up to 5th. So, you know, I still think tires matter. I know the leader, you know, they did not pit the top 5. top 4, but everybody with tires is getting to them. And I just think tires, especially in traffic, are an advantage.
Here's just a few laps ago, the 4 of Josh Berry gets into the 1 of Chastain just in front of Larson.
Yeah, Chastain almost really came down on him. It's like he got up to the wall and was loose or something and got down the racetrack, but that's just racing, man.
Here's Bell running 7th. Trying to take that spot away from Josh Berry. Marty.
Rick, a 63-lap run as Josh Berry tries to hang on there to the 6th position. Bell will get past him. By far the longest run on tires all day or all weekend long, really. So what's the 2014 thinking sitting in 3rd? Listen in.
Yeah, just let him know that we plan on running long. We don't want to be the guy that gets caught with a tire failure. P3 is the 9, 22 is always back there.
They have since gone around into the 3rd position. So, Steve, it's almost like a game of chicken. Who blinks first to come to pit road?
Yeah, and, you know, while I do think that Jeff brings up a good point that fresh tires have more grip in traffic, there's not enough raw speed, that I would be on the long end of it. I completely agree with Reed Fugal. I would run this thing all the way to my fuel number. It's a catch-22. You don't want to be caught by the caution. You also don't want to be the caution. So I would encourage my driver that if something feels weird, we're inside the window, we're ready for you. But my goal is to run this as long as possible.
Alan Gustafson calling the shots for Chase Elliott. Refugal for William Byron. And that 5 continuing to march forward as Larson has moved up to the 4th spot now.
The 2 car just pitted. He was a lap down. He pitted. We'll kind of look at his times and see if new tires are quicker. He'll have clean air when he comes out on the racetrack. Just something that we're going to watch, and crew chiefs are going to watch that too. They're going to look at other cars to see if speed is there when you put new tires on.
Blaney, the slowest he got in turns 3 and 4 that last lap was 120 miles an hour. The slowest that he was in the turn. Now he's gone down 115 there. More contact on the track. Just a little bump there out of Ty Gibbs to the 99 of Suarez. Bowman has made his way up to the 8th spot. Bell in front of Logano for 5th.
I think you're about 10 or 12 laps away from the leaders probably needing fuel. Marty.
Yeah, you talked about Alex Bowman from 33rd up into the top 10, but Steve, he did radio to Blake Harris about 15-20 laps ago, said, I have a vibration. I know you would like to stay out 10 to 12 more laps, but how long do you risk it when your driver says I have a vibration?
Well, as a crew chief, you have to allow your driver to decide it, but if it's not getting worse, I mean, I think you have to run this thing out as far as you can. Remember, Kyle Larson didn't pit the lap 83, so he can go 30 laps further. And as fast as this 5 car is, I'm not coming right away. I'm going to try to trap as many cars a lap down as possible.
And we talked about tires. Do they matter? I told you the 2 of Austin Cindric hit pit road. He ran a 24.40 before he hit pit road. He just ran a 23.70. So new tires do indeed matter.
Chris Buescher about to go a lap down.
It's funny how drivers and crew chiefs disagree, because Jeff feels that lap times matter, but I wouldn't pit for him just because the size of the track. You know, it's not a 1.5 miles. It's only a 7/8 mile track. So unless you're the leader, you're probably going to end up 2 down after your pit stop, at least for a short period of time.
There's Buescher just in front of the 12 of Ryan Blaney. After such a great season a year ago, it's been Buescher who's still trying to figure out this season. And Brad Keselowski has been the one that has got to win. Bottom of the screen, you see Josh Berry still chasing down Logano.
You know, the other thing about Austin Cindric, you know, it goes back to our strategy, is that he was lapped. So he pitted early because he needs to run laps. He needs to go up 3 car.
Austin Dillon way up the racetrack.
He needs to put tires on and go faster to try to make lap time to the leader. So that's his strategy. Here, let's see what happened. LaJoie and Austin Dillon, little contact on corner entry. That's where we've seen a lot of contact today. Just everybody's fighting to get to that new asphalt.
And we'll bump back.
Yeah, not very happy, and understandably why. Jeff brings up a great point. You know, people on the lead lap are racing for position within the lap, but once you get a lap down, it's a different world. You're trying to get back to only one lap down, trying to dig yourself out of a hole.
Well, it's been a blistering pace. 14th time Blaney has led at least 100 laps in a race.
So, I hear some of you are concerned about the fact that I'm taking over the company.
Well, rest assured, company's in great hands.
Marcy, hit the vid. Homes.com, we've done your homework. Now that is worth celebrating.
I love it.
Thank you.
Homework. Very clever. Very clever.
Ding dong. Homes.com.
Applebee's late night, because half off is just more fun. Now that's eating good in the neighborhood. The Bike Riders.
I'm here to challenge you. I built this from nothing. I put more into this club than my own family. What do you want me to do?
Let's just go someplace, Benny.
Don't ask that.
The Bike Riders, rated R, only in theaters this Friday.
When Just for Men eliminates gray, you get a great before and after. And then the after, that boost you get when you look and feel your best. And try one-day beard and brow color, the fastest, easiest way to cover grays and define lines. Scan QR code for a free sample.
Pit stops are starting, and the one of Ross Chastain has a right front tire going down. He was able to keep it off of the wall, but can he get all the way back to pit road? He looks like he's going to get there. Dave.
Meanwhile, Chase Briscoe is on pit road. He was complaining about a vibration for the last 20 laps or so, has been managing it the best he can. He finally gets his 4 fresh tires, Kim.
Corey LaJoie is going to make his way into the attention of his crew. He said he fired off tight, but freer on the back end of the run. That car just feels disconnected, he says, as he makes the long way down to his pit stall right in the corner of pit road as the crew goes to work. It is going to be a chassis adjustment, and they take tires, Marty.
Yeah, Kim, right front went down for Ross Chastain. He came down pit road. Let's see how bad that wall contact was. He said, interestingly, Kim, on the radio, about 30 laps before that, the car is finally turning the way I want it to turn.
As Martin Truex Jr. gets ready to make his stop, he is unhappy with that race car. He said he has to wait on the front end to grab. Also way too loose. They make a big chassis adjustment there. 4 fresh Goodyear tires. Sunoco fuel on the 19.
Green flag pit stop cycling through the 4 of Josh Berry now on pit road.
Did a nice job. We've talked about how difficult this pit road is to kind of enter. We saw Ross Chastain actually spin out of practice trying it. Ford did a nice job, Kim.
And that overstock 4 number for Josh Berry, he fired off free, but then that track, he said, is building tighter, looking for 4 fresh Goodyear tires. They'll put fuel in it as well for Josh Berry.
19 of Martin Truex Jr. speeding. So he'll have to come back down pit road.
Section 1. Coming back.
And so he'll come back onto pit road now. Pass through penalty.
They told him he was speeding in section 1 so that he can make an adjustment to make sure he's not speeding through that section again, because that is the worst thing you can do, is get caught for speed and then come down pit road to serve the penalty and get caught speeding again.
Blaney's still up front, but now it's Chase Elliott that's putting the pressure on him. Driver still to come to pit road. Blaney, Elliott, Larson, Bell, Logano.
All right, bring it to us.
Oh,
way up the racetrack is the 5. Larson.
His tires look up, though, don't they? I think he just got out of line.
That's what's hard to tell.
He missed pit road there if he was trying to come.
Yeah, I think his tires are up.
I agree with Jeff. I think he's just somehow either caught it and just got up into the gray. 12 of Blaney's on pit road. It'll be interesting to see where the 12 cycles versus the 24. Oh yeah, Jeff, the 5 just loose into the corner a little bit, and then a little help with the 11. Gave him a shot, and up the track he went. Kim.
Let's watch the stop of Ryan Blaney. Despite leading laps, that handling not to his liking. He said it's really loose in and tight on throttle as they take tires and fuel. Slight air pressure adjustment, Marty.
Kim, back-to-back leaders pitting on back-to-back laps. First Ryan Blaney and then Chase Elliott, who has been fantastic on these long runs. It is so good. If I can get a little bit of help at the beginning of the run, that would be wonderful. His teammate Alex Bowman also on pit road right now. And another car into the wall, Rick.
Yeah, another car into the wall. It looked like the 42.
Yeah, I think it was the 43.
Oh, 43, Eric Jones.
Trying to get down to pit lane. Does a nice job. Tire stays on. Everybody avoids them. A lot going on here.
This is why everybody's afraid to pit. You know, some people are going to blow tires. We've seen multiple tire failures, just no caution, Kim.
Yeah, and for Eric Jones, this team, when I talked to him this morning, did not think they had the pace. As we watch Kyle Larson making his stop, he said just a little bit loose. Going to be 4 fresh Goodyear tires, and you see that chassis adjustment to help the condition of that race car on Kyle Larson's machine.
There, Eric Jones gets to his pit stall, and they're going to change that right front tire if they can get the jack underneath it. Kim.
And let's follow the stop of Joey Logano as they continue to have problems on that Eric Jones machine, trying to get the jack underneath the car. Finally are able to do it, get it lifted up so they can change tires. Joey Logano making his stop. Joey complaining to his team, telling loose in and off, but center is hurting me the most. It's the tight condition that we need to work on. Joey Logano taking tires, a slight adjustment, and fuel.
And Christopher Bell continues to run on the racetrack, getting really good mileage. This is further than I thought they could have gone.
And remember, this is the car that blew the tire in practice. So they have a tremendous amount of confidence that they made the adjustments they needed to keep from having another tire failure.
And he was on pit road on lap 54, so he's been on the track the longest on these tires.
That 9 versus 12 is for position. Remember, they've both pitted. So while they're currently not near the front, they're 13th and 14th. They know that'll be important, Dave.
Tyler Reddick told his crew, if I put the throttle to it in the center, it stays tight. I can't get off the corner well. So they'll adjust for that here, give him 4 Goodyear tires and fuel.
As Bell continues to run, you see the 9 getting in front of the 12.
We're ready. Bring it to us.
All right, bring it to us. Sounds like the 20's coming to pit road. What you don't see in that bottom screen is the 24. He pitted about 10 laps early. To Jeff's point about tires mattering, that cycled him out in front of these 3 by just a couple seconds. So even though the advantage wasn't as big as some tracks, they still mattered. That short pitting did allow him to leapfrog the leaders as the 20 turns left. Does a nice job, Marty. Looks like no tires slid and down to pit road speed.
Boy, a green flag stop here at Iowa, Steve, and the first pit stall is really tough, but Christopher Bell executed it very well. I don't think anyone anticipated teams running a long day, but they have. Mike Hicks is the rear tire changer on this race team, one of the best in the garage area. We got Jake Holmes, the tire carrier, Blake Houston, the front changer, and Peyton Moore, the fueler. They leave pit road. Bell so good on those long runs. We'll see where he cycles out.
And that length of pit stop is purely because of how much fuel it needs. Remember, 13, 14 gallons is all you could get in by the time they're done changing tires. These cars hold 20. So because that 20 needed all 20 gallons or very close to it, you saw everybody done waiting on the fuel.
Look how much change of speed there as the caution has come out now. And the caution comes out. Want to let you know the 15, they had equipment interference. So Kaz Grala, equipment interference on their pit stop. So a pit road penalty for them. But the caution coming out, we're looking at the 31 right now of Daniel Hemrick. Maybe some contact with the wall. Kyle Busch was scored a lap down. The highest car scored a lap down in 15th. We'll see if he's the one who'll get the free pass. Yeah, you see the right side of 31. Apparently got into the wall in turn 2.
I don't know. This one baffles me a little bit. These are the ones who used to make me scratch my head. We've seen some tires go down. Cars were able to get to pit road. We haven't seen a replay of what happened to the 31. We see the contact on the right side. Let's see what we see here.
He's already up the racetrack, out of the groove. Makes contact.
Bounces off and keeps going.
Yeah, you know, look, they've not thrown the caution for that through this entire cycle, but for some reason they did on that one.
Kyle Busch, Bell, Logano, Bowman, Briscoe, Gibbs, Chastain, all a lap down. Reddick, LaJoie, Dillon. They're going to be frustrated by this caution.
I believe Busch is going to get the free pass.
We'll also have to see who will be able to get the wave around. It's going to take a little bit. We know that the 6 is leading, but really what matters is Byron's probably not going to pit for 8th. So we really need to see what lap down cars are in front of William Byron. They will probably have the opportunity for the wave around. William Byron is about halfway back in the pack, so I think we're going to get a bunch of cars waving around here. It's going to have to cycle. First, we're going to see pit stops, though, for the cars who had yet to pit.
Top 7 will probably be coming down pit road here. We ride along on that Xfinity Mobile on board with Bubba Wallace. Dave.
Rick Brad Keselowski found some speed in the top group, but he said, I still need some front grip for the long run. The free in that I was experiencing is tolerable. So Matt McCall and the crew will go to work on that. As for Bubba Wallace, top of your screen, in the Grimace car, the 23 was moving forward, but in a very loose condition. He said, fix that right here, and he pointed at the track where he was, and I'm good.
LaJoie might be the benefactor here, potentially, of that.
I think LaJoie and everybody in front of him, LaJoie, Reddick, Chastain, Gibbs, Briscoe, all are going to have the chance to wave around.
And Kim has the front row seats of everything going on with the 7 team, as does Marty with the 20.
We're racing at New Hampshire. Green flag in the air at Nashville. NASCAR in the streets of Chicago.
NASCAR's second half continues in New Hampshire on USA.
Sun beginning to set on this, the first Cup Series race from Iowa Speedway. It's the Iowa Corn 350, powered by ethanol. Well, at the track, Iowa corn growers are highlighting the new interactive Iowa Corn Mobile Education Trailers. The 40-foot state-of-the-art mobile unit takes visitors on a multimedia journey showing how Iowa corn farmers conserve their land while growing corn that is used for food, feed, and the 4,000 other products made from, you guessed it, corn. Iowa corn growers are committed to unlock the potential of corn in a sustainable manner. Marty.
Rick, let's chat with Mike Hicks, some of the fastest hands in the garage area, also the rear tire changer for Christopher Bell. You guys have a unique pit stall here, Mike, the #1 pit stall on pit road. How does that make it difficult, especially for you, the rear changer?
Yeah, I mean, when you have this first stall here, especially at a track like today where we're having tire issues, you just you got to be ready all the time. You know, you got to make sure you got all your stuff prepped and ready, because you blow a tire going into 3, they're going to be on you really fast.
There you go, Mike Hicks. We're going to let him run. By the way, that caution did not come out at a good time for the 20 team. They ran long. They paid the price when the caution came out, and Adam Stevens was very upset.
That was the most ridiculous bullshit caution I've ever seen in my life. You had 17 guys blow tires, and you have one guy blow another tire, and you throw the caution. That's chicken.
I understand the frustration. I would see it the same way if they definitely, you know, hurt my car, and I don't completely disagree. I think there were other opportunities to throw a yellow. We saw flat tires. The only difference is that car made contact with the wall, so in the instantaneous decision, maybe they thought he needed assistance, but you know, hindsight being 2020, I have to agree with Adam Stevens. I don't think that deserved a yellow any more than the flat tires that we've seen.
47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. stayed out, which trapped a lot of people a lap down, and stays on the outside of the 24 of William Byron for the restart. Bowman, the last car on the lead lap, running 18th right now. Steve, what's the strategy for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. not coming to pit road?
I think he could run the next 22 laps.
Maybe.
Right now the strategy is not to wreck with the 24. I think they thought they could make it all the way to the end of this stage on fuel, but now he's lost his track position.
Outside of 3 wide, Denny Hamlin. See Ross Chastain moving up to the inside of Hamlin.
And all that chaos worked out well for Josh Berry. Second place.
Larson up front, Berry running second, Bubba Wallace is third, Chase Elliott fourth, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. after staying out is holding on to fifth. Berry putting pressure on Larson as there's under 20 to go.
A bunch of those cars in the back of that pack that we're looking at right now, they're racing to be the first car lap down when the stage ends. They're trying to get their lap back. It is fierce battling.
Ross Chastain is the first car scored a lap down, running 19th. Chastain, Preece, LaJoie, Harrison Burton, Reddick, Briscoe, Cindric, McDowell, all a lap down, fighting for that free pass. Larson still trying to hold off Berry. Kyle Larson has won the last 2 Father's Day races.
And Denny Hamlin.
Yeah.
Resurgence there.
I don't know if it's a resurgence or a lotto ticket, but yes, they were on the right side of the strategy. You have to play everything. You said it earlier, Jeff, just because you're not good at the beginning, be patient.
Mentioned that one of Ross Chastain, scored a lap down, running in the 19th position right now. Trying to hang on to that first car scored a lap down so he can get the free pass. Goes by the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
.38 and the 17 right there, 2 wide. Todd Gilliland falls back to 9th. Buescher up to 8th. 2 cars we haven't talked about a whole lot today. They've kind of been stuck mid-pack. Here they are, cycled into the top 10.
And that caution came out. Definitely hurt some people, but it also helped some people.
Todd Gilliland right there in that white and blue car announced an extension with Front Row, so he will be, even though Micah McDowell is moving on and now he's leaving to go to Spire, McDowell in 38 will be returning to this organization.
Gilliland.
Sorry, yeah, Gilliland. Poor Todd, I'm trying to move him along.
Take a look at this restart. Again, the 47 didn't come to pit road, and then up the racetrack goes the 24 of Byron, making contact, shoving the 47 up the track.
His car just did not have the grip that he was expected it to have, and that was almost very costly to the 47 of Stenhouse. But look at the track position William Byron gave up with that. And that's hard. That track position's hard to get back.
Byron's fallen all the way back to 11th after that restart.
Watch him up front here. Come middle hard, middle hard. Follow the 4, follow the 4 to the middle hard, to the middle hard. Up middle hard. Clear up if you need it. Middle hard. Still there, bottom. Still there, bottom. Middle 3, still on the bottom. Still on the bottom.
That was Freddie Kraft, spotter for Bubba Wallace, as the battle for second continues to heat up. Now Chase Elliott looking to the inside of Josh Berry.
It's going to be very interesting when the last bit of sun sets and 1 and 2 goes in the shade, because it does seem as if the track's cooled. It's now over 10 degrees surface temperature, cooler than it was earlier. Certain cars have gotten better. I'm not sure it's affected the 5. He's been pretty good the whole time.
Josh Berry continues to be aggressive here on the short track as he's been able to hold off Chase Elliott. Coming back into the picture, Ryan Blaney closing in on Elliott.
Josh Berry in that 4 car without a ride for next year. You know, his crew chief is Rodney Childress, and you know, they've both been vocal. They would love to go somewhere together. They like working with each other. They run pretty well. Interesting to see where they both end up.
Rare you get that combination, right? A championship crew chief with a younger or a rookie driver, less starts, what I would say, but a huge ceiling for Barry, you know, a bunch of opportunity.
Coming up on 8 laps remaining in stage 2. Those of you that have a fantasy lineup, make sure to check. Make sure your fantasy drivers, if you got somebody in the garage you need to put into your lineup.
Come on, man. Don't give them a hint.
You're saying that to Steve because I think Steve's doing fairly well?
Well, I'm doing pretty well, too.
My whole lineup's so good, I don't know who I want to take out.
Again, an eventful day for the 7. Corey LaJoie, as he has Harrison Burton working to the inside of him now. But very early on, 7 of LaJoie brought out the first caution. And now LaJoie has been able to come back and have a fairly good run, running 21st right now. Still trapped a lap down after some of the strategy that has played out here as of late.
You can see as this outside lane has started to work in. If you don't make that pass, you open yourself up to the guys lining up on you on the outside. You see the 8 of Kyle Busch trying to push the 7 to both try to get by Harrison Burton. Harrison's trying to race to the 47 because the 47 is struggling a little bit. Kim.
As we see Kyle Larson running out front, the last set of tires they took off that race car, the right front showed cording, so you could see the threads of the tire, not only for Kyle Larson, also Ryan Blaney with right front tire cording on the last set that was taken off. So, Steve, if you are a crew chief, are you concerned that for the first time tonight we're seeing cording, and what possibly is causing that? Are they sliding the right front too much?
Well, Kim, anytime you see cording, you're a little bit concerned. The one thing I would say is that is almost an entire fuel run, so that would make me a little less concerned. You know, we saw at other tracks where it happened very premature. That was almost a fuel run for all of those cars, so for that reason I feel a little bit better about it. I would just make sure my balance doesn't get tight, and if it does get tight, just make sure the driver's aware of it and try the best he can to not abuse that right front tire.
Now 3 laps to go as Larson has about a 1.6 second lead over Josh Berry running in the 2nd spot. You know, Berry made his Xfinity Series debut here at this racetrack in 2014, running for Junior Motorsports, where he finished 12th in that race.
Rick, it's fascinating to me as we see this battle between the 47 and the 2 and the 7. What all of those cars that were trapped the lap down when the 47 stayed out, what they choose to do. The 2 of Cindric, the 7 of LaJoie. Do they just stay out and try to take the wave around here? That'll be a big decision compared to what the leaders do. But at some point, you're going to have to gamble. You talk about it, Jeff. Once you get a lap down, it's your job to be a little more aggressive with strategy to try to get back on the lead lap.
Would any of the cars in front of them stay out? I mean, 20 laps is all we've had on these tires.
Well, my bingo card didn't have the 47 staying out, so I don't think they will, but I've been wrong more than I've been right today.
Through 3 and 4 for the final time in stage 2 for Kyle Larson. This is going to be his 8th stage win already this year. He leads the field in stage wins. Josh Berry 2nd, Elliott 3rd, Blaney 4th, Bubba Wallace in the top 5. Hamlin, Buescher, Gilliland, Keselowski, and Haley rounding out the drivers that will receive stage points at the end of stage 2. It's been fun to ride along with the 20 and 7 team as, again, Marty and Kim right in the middle of all the action and things taking place with those teams. NBC Sports coverage of NASCAR on USA is brought to you by Pods. Save up to 25% now at pods.com. Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need. And by Iowa Corn Growers. Pump Unleaded 88. Grown by Iowa corn farmers. This crowd here has been waiting for years to see this. The best of the stock car racers come to Iowa Speedway. And they sold out in just a couple hours when tickets were made available. And so the crowd here, and what a beautiful day for racing too.
All right, so I sharpened my pencil, got my calculator out. Here's the situation. Most of the cars in the lead lap can make it from the last pit stop with only one more pit stop. Pitting here doesn't reduce a pit stop. You still have to pit one more time. What it would do is reduce the amount of fuel needed on that next pit stop. Remember, we saw pit stops be longer because they're waiting on fuel. So if I'm a leader, I'm pitting here, putting on a set of tires and putting some fuel in my car so my next pit stop can be faster. I'm playing the pit stop time game. For that reason, I would pit here.
And quite a few are coming to pit road, Marty.
Chase Elliott comes to pit road from third. Rick, top of your screen there. And it's interesting what he had to say. He said, it seems like as the sun goes down, my early run issues seem to go away. Remember, they're so good at the end of the runs. Alan Gustafson planning no real changes here on the 9, Kim.
Solid day for Josh Berry in the middle of your screen. He said it felt okay. I need to turn better, though. Entry a little bit edgy. He does think he takes off better than those around him. 4 fresh Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel. As we watch the end of Larson's stop there on the bottom, Kyle telling his crew, I'm a little too free. I can't lean on the right rear. I think the track's going to get freer, though. Cliff Daniels telling him they went to work on what they think he needs for this final stage as he loses 1 position on pit lane.
Yeah, two-tire stop for Keselowski, gains him 8 spots. Suarez 9 spots with a 2-tire stop. And what a behind-the-scenes view we have had here. We want to thank the 20 and the 7 teams for their access. And we'll see how Corey LaJoie and Christopher Bell do in the final stage. Make sure to join NASCAR's free rewards program and start earning points to turn into member-only rewards. You can earn points every time you check in for a race from either home or at the track. Trade them in for free tickets. There's exclusive gear, autographed merchandise, and one-of-a-kind race day experiences. Just visit NASCAR.com/fan-rewards. And let's check back in with the 7 team and Kim.
Well, Rick, everyone has an origin story on how they got into racing, and crew chief Ryan Sparks, it's the perfect day for his Father's Day. That's because Sparks has been around racing his entire life. His grandfather, Bob, raced at Bowman Gray. You're seeing Bob right there. And Ryan's father, Bobby, raced karts all over the Southeast. Now, Ryan tried his hand at driving, but decided to enroll instead at UNC Charlotte, getting his degree in mechanical engineering. He's passed on the tradition, though, of racing to his niece. In his free time, he crew chiefs for his niece in local short tracks around Charlotte. Marty, it's been so fun being embedded with this team. How about that 20?
Oh, it was fun to be up here in the 20 box as well, Kim. It was an eventful stage, too. They got to the lead. Caution came out at a bad time. They finally finished the last car on the lead lap. The issue all day long has been the early part of the run, and Christopher Bell wanted to know why.
Why is this thing so awful on stickers? A great question. I don't know.
Adam Stevens told him, listen, we may have to live with this the rest of the day. We're doing all we can, Jeff, to help out the car early in the run, but that long run speed is hard to walk away from as well. They're terrific.
Yeah, they have good speed. Love those inside looks. We're going to do that all year long, hopefully with 1 team every week, maybe 2.
Try to get through the field. As now we have Buescher, Keselowski, RFK, leading the field back to the green flag. Final stage underway, 132 laps to go in this race.
Big wiggle out of the 17. He collected it 3 wide behind him.
Comes Josh Berry on the inside in the 4. Keselowski's dropped all the way back to 4th after being on the front row.
And Buescher staying out, trapped a lot of cars, still 1 lap down, so only 19 cars in the lead lap.
Big contact, the 5 into the wall, and around he goes. Got collected with the 11, and the caution comes back out. Aggressive racing there coming off of 4.
We're too bad.
And Larson was in the middle of 3 wide as he spins it around, see if he can get back. Suarez hit him on the right rear.
Well, like the
left
99,
rear.
Yeah, 99 car right there gets up the racetrack, gets into the left rear of the 5, and then he's just out of control along for the ride. Denny Hamlin, wrong place. See the 9, you saw it wiggle? He got loose, and when he got loose, he had to turn to the car to the right to keep from spinning out. That's where the contact came, right along with the 20 of Bell. Oh.
Bell Bell got into the back of the 22.
That's how quick it happens. Bell couldn't even see the incident.
All right, Kim.
Well, before the incident, Kyle did say the car was trending loose. Kyle, though, coming on the radio, telling Cliff Daniels, the crew chief, that it is not driving straight, so they will have to look at the suspension of that machine.
Let's listen in on the 99 radio.
I'm not sure. I don't think it was my fault. When you force the middle like that, that's the consequences sometimes. Yeah, all good. Nothing to worry about there. Just reset and let's keep moving forward.
Not running straight there for Larson, as the crew will take a look at that. Looking at the toe link, Steve?
Yeah, looking at the rear. Probably take a look at the front through the hood flap. Yeah, you see he's peeling up the hood flap. You can kind of take a look at that right front toe link and the upper suspension.
3-wide racing. The 99 of Suarez gets into the back of the 5. He goes into the 11 into the wall and brings out caution number 7 here at Iowa. In the final stage of racing here at Iowa Speedway, and the 7th caution has come out. It was for the 5 of Kyle Larson getting into the 11 and into the wall. Take a look a little further back in this one, Jeff.
So we heard the spotter say, from Frank Kimmel, say, hey, when you force it 3 wide, those things happen. Watch Larson right here. He sees an opening, he drives into it. Now they're tight 3 wide. Now the 99 gets loose, gets into the 5. So when you heard Suarez say, I don't think it was my fault, that's the whole picture. We first saw just the end of it, but this is the whole picture. And he's like, hey, I got put in a bad spot. I didn't know I was 3 wide. That's just good, hard racing, but Larson, indeed being aggressive, put himself in a tough situation. Look, not that he made a wrong call or a wrong move. That's just hard racing, but Suarez is like, hey, there's more to this picture than just what you see off turn 4.
It might have worked out if Suarez doesn't get loose and has to chase the car up the racetrack.
Of course.
The 11's good fortune of getting his track position went away now with damage.
Kim, what are they looking at on the 5?
Well, Kyle radioed in and said the back end feels wobbly, and Cliff crew chief said that's because it is. They think the toe link is bent. They don't think it's broken. They just think it is bent. So working on alleviating the issue for Kyle Larson, Dave.
Kim, Denny Hamlin, after all that contact, is coming down pit road. They came down one time before. They judged that the right rear toe link was okay, but the right front is bent, just like you talked about. And so they told Denny, we can't fix that. You're going to have to adjust your steering. Guys, what is that like, and what's the driver going to experience with a bent right front toe link?
Well, it's definitely not going to drive as well. I mean, these cars are, you know, they spend hours lining these cars up, making sure everything is exactly where you want it to be. And then you go out here and you bang wheels and it gets damaged. So it's certainly going to hurt the performance.
But with the 5 cars of misfortune, that's opportunity for the rest of the field, because I believe the 5 had the car to beat. Now, there was a lot of racing still to happen, a lot of opportunity, but now you have Buescher, who stayed out on older tires, Barry, who's now the highest car on fresh tires, Gilliland, Keselowski, Suarez, Wallace, Elliott, Blaney. I mean, there's a lot more up in the air than there was a minute ago, because I thought the 5 had a very good chance of contending for this win.
Denny Hamlin coming off of pit road. Kim.
Well, Powerball is back as the official lottery game of NASCAR, and it wants to send you to NASCAR Championship Weekend for the chance to win $1 million. Now, the Iowa Lottery is hosting hundreds of Powerball players at this weekend's races, and even gave players the chance to win a ride in the pace car and meet some of the sport's top drivers in the VIP suite. Now, if you want to experience the thrill of NASCAR, check your local lottery and get entered into the NASCAR Powerball Playoff. Powerball, the official lottery game of NASCAR.
Okay, we didn't go through the process of being able to have a chance of being in the pace car because Jeff took us around the racetrack. But what an opportunity for fans to be able to do that, to experience a pace car ride at any of these tracks.
It's a great opportunity. I hope they last longer than you did, Rick.
I'll tell you,
One
Jeff,
lap.
you know you're retired, Jeff, right? You know you're retired. You don't have to try to set track record times every time you get into a pace car.
I was going 73.
73. Issues as far as working on the 5, there's too many men over the wall, so that just means they're coming back onto pit road, serve that penalty. But there's so much that needs to be done, try to get it to run straight again.
Well, yeah, they're going to actually hold them for a couple laps, because when you have too many men over pit wall while on the damaged vehicle policy, it's actually a couple lap penalty. By looking at the 5 car, he was going to have some issues anyway, but it is a 2-lap penalty.
Kim.
And the problems actually continue for Larson. We talked about the bent toe link, and he said his wheel's in an okay spot, but then when he went back on the racetrack, he said, it feels like I'm going to spin out. He thinks he maybe broke a brake line. Even said, I might not be able to stop it in the box. Obviously, he was able to stop it in the box, but brake line issue for Kyle Larson possibly as well.
May want to just take that one to the truck.
Yeah.
Work on next week.
No stranger to being up front at short tracks. It's Buescher who brings it back to the green flag with Josh Berry on the inside. And up the racetrack, Berry runs that 17 of Buescher.
I tell you, Berry's done that multiple times today, using all of the racetrack. Kind of slide job a little bit right there to get in front of Buescher. Now Buescher turning underneath him, a lot of contact.
Buescher had to check up because Berry came out of 4 a little bit slower.
Yeah, Buescher's going to give it right back to him. That's what Berry did to him in 1 and 2. Buescher got underneath him and said, all right, buddy, you're going to play that game. I'm going to play it too.
Corey LaJoie seemed like he was out of pace there as he was coming off turn 2, and Berry is still being aggressive with Buescher.
Yeah, a lot of contact. These guys are going at it. Todd Gilliland back there doing what's happening in front of me. Kyle Busch trying to work himself up.
Berry not letting up on Buescher. 121 to go at the line 120. A lot of racing still to go here in Iowa. Kyle Busch to the inside. He tries to get by Gilliland. Berry making that low line work as he gets to the inside of the 17 again. He'll crowd him up the racetrack.
Yeah, let's see what happens over here. Again, overdrives the entry. He's going to slide up in front of Buescher. Buescher checks his entry speed up, trying to get back underneath him. Not going to be able to do it.
Berry gets past and back out front.
William Byron, that 24 car, had a lot of speed early. He had that bad restart, lost a lot of spots. Now racing Brad Keselowski for 4th place.
Byron all the way to the bottom. Keselowski running that second line. And these two chasing after Gilliland. With Berry up front, his best finish on a short track was Richmond, where he came in second. Are there any similarities to this track in Richmond?
Well, Rusty Wallace designed this racetrack, and one of the best ever in Richmond was Rusty Wallace. So Imagine that. He made this track feel a lot like Richmond, but with this new asphalt, this track is so fast. It is shaped very similar, but the grip levels are different.
The other thing with Berry up front is look what it does to the playoff standings. Puts him into that 10th position as the leader. We already talked about Busch and Logano, but now Wallace joins them below the cut line and a chunk below. 30, 40, 48 points. So, you know, this would be, upset is a tough word, but it'd be a long shot. Berry was a long shot coming into the Vegas odds. While he is a great short track racer, this would be a big win for this SHR organization. Still 115 to go, but you see how much it upsets.
Yeah. Well, Buescher running second right now in this race. That would put him right on that cut line as well if Berry was able to hang on. Take a look here. There's that contact from Buescher.
That was fun racing. Those guys are going at it.
We mentioned Corey LaJoie was off pace just a bit. This was his first issue. And then it didn't end. Had another time when he tagged the wall there.
That's pretty good contact. Here he comes.
Byron in front of Buescher. William Byron. We'll see if he can reel in Josh Berry. It's 2 seconds now, the gap between first and second.
Look at the gaggle of cars on the bottom of the screen. There's been more three-wide racing here than any short track I have seen
yeah,
ever.
How about Alex Bowman? Steve, you made a prediction earlier. You thought Alex Bowman would be running well here. He's inside the top 10.
Yeah, looks like there might even be a little damage on the hood of that car.
You mentioned gaggle. Bubba Wallace was in the middle of it. Now he's been blocked as Ross Chastain went down in front of him. Toyota on board giving us this shot from Christopher Bell. Bell currently running in the 16th spot. Everyone chasing Josh Berry here in Iowa.
Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology lets you see over, under, through, down, and any other direction you may need. Up to 8 available cameras and 14 views. So you can focus on the view that really matters. Don't miss a thing. Chevy's got you. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
And they're all coming?
Those who are still with us, yes.
What's this?
Your wings.
Light them up.
Gentlemen, it's a beautiful day to fly.
All the parts you need at the prices you want. Guaranteed to fit every time. So you can keep your ride or die alive.
When Just for Men eliminates gray, you get a great before and after. And then the after. That boost you get when you look and feel your best. And try one-day beard and brow color. The fastest, easiest way to cover grays and define lines. Scan QR code for a free sample.
The skyscrapers in the background and Lake Michigan alongside the racetrack.
NASCAR is coming back to Chicago. A 4th of July weekend festival of music and racing through downtown Chicago's iconic streets.
How's the phone, boys? It's gonna be a good one.
The biggest names in music headline the stage, while the brightest stars in NASCAR chase the checkered flag.
That's very cool.
The Chicago Street Race Weekend. For tickets and experiences, visit NASCARChicago.com.
What's the worst thing that could happen? The worst thing that could happen is we die alone at the bottom of the pit.
This race has real risks.
You all right?
Both physical.
It's actually getting worse. Something's just not right.
He's concerned, and well, I'm concerned.
And mental.
I'm having a hard time today being here with you. I think this is the last thing you and I ever do together.
USA's Ultimate Competition Show continues. Woo! Race to Survive New Zealand, Monday at 11 on USA.
You're a part of history as you've been watching the inaugural Cup race at Iowa Speedway. It's the Iowa Corn 350 powered by ethanol. Still out front, Josh Berry has a 2.2 second lead over William Byron. Then back to Blaney, Elliott, and Buscher. Running in 15th right now is Christopher Bell. Want to take a look at the Toyota driver update for Bell. Was out front for 7 laps. Started at the back of the field because of a backup car. Once again, 3 wide. That's something that we have seen a lot here. And Steve, you mentioned probably more 3 wide racing than we've ever seen at short tracks.
Yeah, I started at the top of the show saying that they only paved 2 lanes. The drivers are proving me wrong because they found a spot for 3 cars. They're going to do a whole lap 3 wide. Still 3 wide, and the 45 does have fresh pavement to run on. Jeff, we kind of, you know, I don't know if it's advertised as such, but when you and I were out there on the pace car, I know it's progressive banking in the past, but I really believe just the second lane of fresh pavement felt like it had a little more banking, or at least a bigger radius. A combination of both made it seem like it was a little bit more forgiving on the tires.
I think so too. And also just on this size racetrack, when you do run the upper groove, the radius opens up in the corner, so you don't have to turn the steering wheel as much. You don't have to ask as much of the car and add that added grip to it. And this high lane has proven to be pretty useful today.
On board with Ty Gibbs. Been kind of quiet.
Yeah, not the pace you would expect.
All the way back in 30th, a lap down.
Look at his hands.
Entry, like it just plows, and it seriously clears the corner.
When I said look at his hands, that's what I was referring to. He has tons of wheel in that car. It just will not rotate. And that makes me nervous, Steve, for what?
Right tires?
Yes.
Moving that right front tire.
Coming up on Corey LaJoie there on his outside.
It's such a dogfight back here. Gibbs running 30th. You can see it is so hard racing back there.
I tell you, we mentioned this driver earlier in the day was having a great run inside the top 10. Well, he was penalized for an equipment interference, basically a pit road penalty, all the way back at lap 54. He was running 8th, went all the way to the back. Well, look at the recovery. All the way back and back inside the top 10. That says a lot. You know, normally when we see cars like this 51, we talk about either a good qualifying effort or get a little bit lucky here or there. This is just a great recovery, Kim. It shows good speed, good calls on top of the pit box, and a nice job by Justin Haley getting him back in the game.
Yeah, and Steve, they've had a good car all day long from the drop of the green flag. Right now, Justin telling his team, I'm all good. I'm just riding, trying to manage my tires. Right now, the handling just neutral. He did tell him the last adjustments helped.
Well, another car that I think might be riding him is just a couple spots behind Haley, the one of Ross Chastain. Remember, he had a flat tire earlier in the race, currently 12th. Last on pit road, a lap 2:23. At the top of the show, I thought 106 to 108 laps. We had seen them go a little bit further than that, almost 110 or 112. He would have to go further yet. You know, he'd have to be right, you know, have to really stretch about 117 laps to get to the finish of this thing. So the question then is, you know, can he get enough yellows to stretch it, or are the just fresher tires going to pay off? It's going to be interesting to see. He's the leader of this, what I'll call Plan B. Yeah. Leader of the cars that came under the last caution.
Left side of your screen, you're seeing right now running order and the wins that these drivers have had this season. So the top 2 have not been to victory lane. Buscher hasn't as well. Logano, Haley, Busch all running in the top 10 right now and still winless, trying to fight their way into the playoffs. Suarez in that 7th spot. Again, he was involved in the contact with the 5.
And with 93 to go, we are inside our final fuel window. So any caution at this point, I think would bring everybody to pit road, because at least Sunoco fuel-wise, this will be the last time you would need to stop.
This run for Suarez is really important. You know, he's been very vocal about not running the way that he wants to run, and you know, being really upset and almost disgruntled. And he's like, look, we're working as hard as we can. We're nowhere near like we need to be. He won that race early in the year, so he's most likely in the playoffs, but not the pace that he's wanted. this is a confidence-building day where they can look back at each other and say, hey, we did a good job. Like, we came to a difficult racetrack, difficult situation, and we've run really well. And I think that's so important when a team is struggling. 17 in the wall. Caution.
Caution comes out. Chris Buescher into the wall. He was running 5th.
Right front is flat. I assume that is pre-wall contact. If it's following along.
We hit fairly hard, but there's a chance we caught that one where it's not done.
You see right here, remember, he had stayed out on the racetrack. His last pitted on lap 184. Wow. That was normally a right front. It just won't turn. That one, you saw it get loose.
I'm with you. It didn't look like the rest. It just went straight.
Marty?
Rick, this was important. A driver near the cut line, and Chris Graves, or Scott Graves, had just told him a moment ago. He said, we're going to come in about 20 laps. If it gets any tighter, let me know. Next lap, he was in the wall.
Well, you mentioned a tight race car. You're leaning on that right front even more.
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking. And, you know, a lot of times when we have tire issues, and Steve mentioned it earlier, see the 5 car getting back on the racetrack. When the temperatures are coming down, pace is going to go up. And the track is completely shaded. I mean, there's no sun on it, so the track temp is way down. That means when you fire off on new tires, you're going to be really going fast and actually putting even more load into those tires. So with only just under 90 laps left, drivers and teams still have to be concerned about tires.
And if the 5 looks funny coming out of the garage, he made minimum speed off the damaged vehicle policy so he can go to the garage just to clean up what was happening with the 5. So now I think everyone's going to come to pit road purely because you have to have fuel at this point. Nobody can make it from their last pit stop. I was questioning if Chastain could. You know, maybe they could stay out from here, but I think that would be a long stretch. I think they've put themselves in a good position. It wouldn't shock me if maybe you saw 2 tires off somebody like Chastain if he needs less fuel than the rest of the field.
And here comes the field, Marty.
William Byron pits from 3rd, Rick. This pit crew's been fantastic this year. Let's see if they can get him a couple of spots here on pit road. He said, my center is better. I still need a little bit more help on exit. What could be the final stop of the day with 88 to go, Kim?
Defending champ Brian Blaney looking for his first win of the season. The call number 3, whatever that code is, needs a little help on the front end of that race car, and it is going to be 2 tires only is what code 3 means. 4 tire stop for Josh Berry. There was a discussion between he and Rodney Childers on whether they should take 2 or 4. Rodney thinks if it goes green, 4 is the right call. Josh overall happy with the car, felt like he had more left there, was just trying to manage it.
A few drivers going with the 2-tire stop, and most beneficial, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. gaining 10 spots on pit road. The caution comes out for the 17 of Chris Buescher. 8 cautions already today here at Iowa Speedway. Say early success for the first running of the Cup Series at Iowa Speedway. We still have a lot of racing to go, but definitely impressive 2- and 3-wide racing all around this track.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and the aggression is what surprised me. You know, with the speed, normally drivers can't be as aggressive, but they haven't worried about it here. We've seen a lot of door-to-door, a lot of rubbing. Obviously, teams trying to understand how to make your car drive good, how not to have tire issues. It's been a challenging weekend for the teams, and I love that. I think that's what makes racing great.
Well, the challenge is real. My fear with the new pavement was going to be no options. The drivers are going to be pinned on the white line. It's been anything but. We've seen the bottom, the middle. We've seen slow entries, turn to the bottom. You know, the artistic nature of a driver really showing his skill set is on display. They're running these corners different every time through.
Well, let's go down to DJ and Brad. And you guys chose 6 drivers before this race started as guys you thought might be able to win. How are your picks going?
Not so good. As it's not gone well for a few others as we get ready for the choose here, which will be interesting to see. Brad, this has been an exciting race. If you don't like this, I don't know what it's going to take.
Yeah, I have no idea. I tell you, though, DJ, that one guy I've kept a big eye on has been Justin Haley. I mean, he went all the way back to 34th. He's 9th right now. That race car is fast. Let's see what happens, though, with this choose.
Yeah, we'll see. The one I'm keeping an eye on is the short track specialist, Josh Berry. Fast race car, very aggressive, and he's auditioning for a job.
Yeah. Will there be more tire issues? That's the question. But right now, we've got some cars up front that haven't been there all day. Let's see how they do.
And we just saw the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. slowed down, and the 4 didn't slow down enough, and he ran into the back of him right there as they're cleaning the tires. A little bit of damage to the front of the 4, not much.
Drivers.
Yeah, 47 slowed down just a little bit. Josh Berry wasn't paying attention, ran into the back of him.
Josh Berry on 4 tires, Chase Elliott on 4 tires. They're the first 2 on 4. Here it is. 47 checks up. Josh Berry. Sometimes, you know, under caution, you're looking in the mirror, you're swerving, you're not really focusing that much.
24 car was 6th. He gets a line of inside row 2. That's 6th to 3rd just with the choose. We'll see if it pays off.
84 to go in Iowa. Blaney Logano back into the gas.
It already paid off for the 24.
Penske drivers side by side. Logano on the inside, Blaney on the outside, and surprisingly enough, they're the 2 Penske drivers who haven't been to victory lane in 2024.
Stenhouse in 3rd. Great run for him.
Saw Logano get up the racetrack a little bit. Kind of slowed that outside lane down some.
Stenhouse Jr. holding on to 3rd. Haley in the 51, cutting right in front of the 6 of Keselowski. Now Keselowski trying to fight back. A little contact there from Bell, and into the wall goes Kyle Busch.
Kyle's struggling with his race car right now. It's not driving the way he needs it to.
Well, Jeff, you told us 270 laps ago that the drivers were scared on how these things drove on new tires. As now the 8's jumped the cushion. He's in the loose stuff.
Marty, what's happening with Kyle?
Kyle Busch just said, I think I have a tire going down. He had been extremely loose on both extremities, on entry and on exit, as the battle for the lead continues up front. Actually, the battle for second. But Kyle Busch says he thinks he might have a tire going down. Here he comes to pit road.
So Kyle Busch will make his way onto pit road, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. moves up to 2nd. Logano has fallen all the way back to 4th. Dave.
Rick, when I talked to Stenhouse Jr.'s crew chief Mike Kelly this morning, he told me with the 3 wins here he had in the Xfinity Series, I know there are a lot of unknowns today, but I think Ricky is going to be able to get to the front. And then my thought recently was, yeah, people will stop hitting him like when Byron got into him, but then Josh Berry hit him under caution. So they're still bumping into Ricky, but he's fighting for this win.
Whoa, Chastain had Chase Elliott way up the racetrack.
Here comes Byron trying to take 2nd away from Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Go back to that tire issue with the 8 car. That's a big deal. We talk about points, and he's right there on that cut line. To have those issues this late in the race, can he recover from them? He's all the way back in 32nd.
Yeah, and I don't think it was a tire issue. When he came in, it looked to me that all 4 tires were aired up, but yet the car was sparking on the racetrack. I think there's something bigger wrong with the 8 car. Marty?
Yeah, it was contact on the racetrack. Randall Burnett just told him a moment ago, I think something is wrong with the left rear. Something is either broken or it is loose on the car. So they sent Kyle Busch back out. They could see it was still loose with the left rear. So that's an issue probably from contact on the racetrack. Steve, you think about the last 3 weeks for this race team. They'd easily have top 10 speed, and they're going to walk away with 3 bad finishes in a row. That's what they cannot have. And Randall Burnett just told Kyle Busch, take it to the garage. We're done.
Yeah, something mechanically is broken in the back of the car. Day over for the 8.
And the frustration continues for the 2-time champion. William Byron was able to get by the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. to take that 2nd spot back away. Chase Elliott running a little bit higher line here with Logano down low.
So Blaney leads on 2 tires. William Byron second on 4. Stenhouse on 2. Chase Elliott on 4. Logano on 2. So we'll see 75 laps to go. Do those fresher left side tires pay dividends on the long run?
Ross Chastain back here with Logano and Barry, Suarez, Haley, Bowman all in the top 10. Keselowski running 11. Gilliland and Carson Hocevar 12th and 13th.
Both of those guys got an advantageous caution, but when they got it, they've been able to keep the track position. So you can catch a break, but if you don't have the speed to take advantage of it, it doesn't matter. Both of these guys caught a good break, but they have the speed to maintain it.
Close call there for Gilliland. He and Hocevar have been running inches apart around this short track.
Yeah, the other thing you have to wonder, you know, we heard some crew chiefs talking to drivers about, hey, take it easy early, right? Don't hurt these tires early in a run on low air pressure. You have to wonder who out there did that. You know, who said, okay, I might not gain a spot or 2, but I'm going to take it easy to make sure I don't hurt a tire. They're not going to advertise that. They don't want their competitors to know what they're doing.
Tell you what, let's go through the field, brought to you by Homes.com, and we'll focus in on champions. Dave?
Let's go all the way back to 2012, Rick, and that was when Brad Keselowski won his lone Cup Series championship. That was quite a night and a big beer at the end of that. Tonight he's had a great run. Right now he's back in the pack a little bit further because he had to take 4 tires to finish off this race. They had taken 2 last time, Marty.
Dave, it's been a fascinating race from a handling standpoint. We've talked about a number of cars who struggle early in runs, but they're so good at the end of the run. What Jeff was just talking about taking care of the tires earlier, Chase Elliott asked Alan Gustafson about that a moment ago.
I look around and I feel like I'm working harder than others, so I'm not sure. Try something different here.
No, not universal, just us, but we seem to have it the worst as a company, so.
And true to form, Kim, the car has gotten much better for Chase. He did a terrific job on this restart. Said the car is much better. The cooler it gets, the better this 9 car seems to be.
Marty, for reigning champ Ryan Blaney, 3 of the last 4 races, they've had finishes of 24 or worse. Despite that, crew chief Jonathan Hassler said they're hitting on all cylinders. They're optimistic, and in fact, they're so optimistic that Ryan has a huge group here. His mom, Lisa, grew up in the area, so he has 80 friends and family from around the area, but even family members who have since moved away from the state flew back to see him. They have camped all weekend long, as you see there. Blaney said if he wins, they're going to have to figure out how to get all 80 people across the track to help him celebrate. Blaney, P1 right now on the track.
He's the reigning champion. Of course he's going to be able to get 80 people across the track into victory lane. We see the 8 making his way out of the garage. He'll try to get back on track, see if they have fixed the issue with that car. As Ryan Blaney has led 134 laps already.
Phone call from the boss? Sorry. Outdoor time. It's me time.
I hear that. That's why we protect all your vehicles here. But hey, nothing wrong with sticking it to the boss.
Oh, Flo, you're gonna take that? Why would that concern me? Because you're aren't you the...
Huh. We never actually discussed hierarchy.
Okay, why don't we just stick to letting Dave know how much he can save when he bundles his home or auto with his boat or RV?
Wait, I thought Jamie was the boss.
It's funny because I'm not boss material.
That was fishing with Dad. I don't care if we ever come back. That I always remember the fun we had. I love fishing with Dad.
Now extended through June 16th, save 10% on Dad's favorite gift. Special Father's Day gift cards. Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's.
15, we are in pursuit.
In a snowplow?
Yeah, we in a snowplow. What's the problem?
Actually, if you damage any city property.
A lot of blind spots in a snowplow.
This isn't my first time in Beverly Hills.
Hey, you look nervous. I am nervous.
Rated R.
Pizza Hut just changed the combo game with the new My Hut Box. Starting at $6.99, it's the ultimate solo meal. Get a personal pan pizza or melts and your favorite side. Combo like you never comboed before. No one out Pizza Hut.
When you're cooking on a Blackstone, you get a better cooking experience. Cook anything, anytime, anywhere. Go to your nearest Blackstone retailer or blackstoneproducts.com now and make everything better on a Blackstone.
The biggest event in the world is coming. The Olympic Games in Paris. But first, the best American athletes have to make Team USA.
Nobody is better in the world.
The U.S. Olympic team trials continue tomorrow on NBC and Peacock.
Under 60 laps remaining in the Iowa Corn 350 powered by ethanol. Still out front as Ryan Blaney has about an 0.8 of a second lead over William Byron. And I'm sure if Blaney gets to victory lane, it's something that, Jeff, you'll be talking about on NBC Sports on Sirius XM on Wednesday. That's 9 a.m. Eastern, NASCAR Radio Channel 90, where Jeff Burton, the mayor, will join the morning drive and that crew to discuss this race and look forward to New Hampshire, a race which you're very familiar with, getting to victory lane a couple times there.
Yeah, I always love calling into the show. I encourage the fans to call in, ask tough questions. Don't throw softballs. Give me some hard stuff.
Tough questions.
I like tough questions.
All right. Bell has found his way back up into the top 10 as he's running 10th right now. Michael McDowell throwing that 34 into the turn. Got all the way to the inside of Brad Keselowski. Let's see if he can complete the pass. Still side by side.
It's amazing to me how you can run side by side with such pace. Normally when you get too wide, you just lose ground instantly. Yet, you know, these guys are side by side and the car behind is not running them down. They're not running the car in front of them down or losing ground to it either.
Multiple grooves here at Iowa.
I mean, I think that's exceptionally encouraging. What can be learned from this race? You know, we talked about repaves where it's only one lane. You said it earlier, Steve. Well, what's different here?
Right.
Like, what made it so it came in so quickly? And by the way, North Wilkesboro did the same thing. We had multiple grooves immediately there. So this has been a fun race to watch. How can we apply it to future races?
And listen, we've talked a lot about tires in a negative way, right? A little trouble on Saturday, trouble here today. Maybe that's the tip of the hat. Maybe we need to talk to Goodyear. Remember, Goodyear is here to market their brand. Yet they have taken a huge gamble or risk to try to help the racing. Yeah. Softer tires, option tires, all these different things they have done this year that they don't have to. They can bring tires that absolutely last and they're kind of rock hard and nobody loves them. They're not taking that approach. They're being proactive and bringing really, really good race tires. So to your point, Jeff, between Wilkesboro and here, you know, what's the magic mix? Dave.
Catching up with Kyle Busch. He stepped out of the 8 car. Kyle, what started things there? I was hearing suspension and then another issue.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but next gen parts and pieces broke. So something in the left rear suspension. I don't know if it was a toe link or what it was, but it changed the skew of the back of the car and just undrivable doing that. So came in and fixed it, rolling back out, blew the power steering line off, or the belt, just broke the belt. So I have no idea, but frustrating for sure. Not what we wanted for all of our zone guys, everybody from Quick Trip. Having a pretty decent day. I mean, I thought we had a top 10 run going, and we had an opportunity there to score some points, but not to be.
It went away for him today, guys.
Unfortunate. And again, Kyle, one of those champions still looking for a win in 2024.
Coming off a race last weekend where it looked like he was going to have a good finish and ended up getting wrecked by the one car right in front of us here and late in the race and gave all those points up.
As we ride on ball with Christopher Bell and the Toyota on board, let's take a look at the progressive telemetry, exactly what he's doing behind the wheel and how the car is performing. Jeff, that fresh pavement has really allowed these guys to not use a lot of brake and actually I haven't seen a lot of shifting out of these cars. I mean, it's been the year of shifting, yet here at Iowa, no shifting.
Yeah, no shifting because there's so much grip with the new asphalt. The car doesn't slow down enough. You can see Bell getting a big run on Chastain.
Takes that spot away from Chastain, so Bell up to 8th now. And still moving forward. Blaney up front has an 1/8 of a second lead over William Byron. Chase Elliott, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Logano all top 5. Josh Berry running 6th. Suarez and Bell 7th and 8th. Chastain and Haley 9th and 10th. What's it going to take for William Byron to reel in Blaney?
Well, I think there's a lot of question marks for a lot of cars. 36 lap green flag run, 48 to go. So it wouldn't be the longest green flag run, but if you remember back to what was the longest, there were multiple tire issues before that run did come to an end with wall contact. So that, I think, is the answer to your question, Rick, right? It's Blaney and Byron, but how hard are they pushing? Marty, are you hearing anything with the leaders?
Well, it's under a second for William Byron, and they're pretty convinced they're better than the 12. So how are Rudy Fugle and William Byron shaping up this battle for the win with 47 to go? Listen in.
All match on lap times here. Bruce Lapper, 10 out the front, been running middle to bottom by himself. He's got the 6 out the front of him to the next one. 12's tighter than you on exit. Get him in traffic here.
So, Jeff, how much information do you want about the car you're chasing down if you're trying to win a race like this, like William Byron now knows? Ryan Blaney, in theory, according to Rudy Fugle, a little bit tighter on exit.
Well, Brandon Lyons, his spotter, and William Byron, they've had a lot of conversations prior to the day about what does he want, right? What information can I provide to you that can help you make a pass or keep from getting past? So he got exactly what he's been asking for in all their meetings, all their preparation. The other thing I think is important is that, remember, Blaney has 2 tires and Byron has 4. And that didn't make much difference taking off, but later in this run, as they get further and further into it, will it start to matter?
Here's Bell, and close call for him.
Wow. That is, watch his hands. Whoa. I mean, he's turned to the right. I mean, that is a great save. It shows you how on edge the cars are, right? And these cars are very difficult to drive. He's trying to get every 1/10 of a second out of that car. Just a little bit too much entry speed, and around that thing went.
And as quickly as he turned to the right and then caught it, was straight back out, he took his hand off the wheel and was driving with one hand. I mean,
they're not normal.
It's so casual for these guys to be so good.
And you see on the left-hand side the mix of tires in the field. Those 2 tires still holding on near the front. Still 42 to go, though.
With under 42 to go, Blaney on 2 fresh tires on that last stop. Out in front, William Byron, 4 fresh tires. Can he reel him in?
The Bike Riders.
You can't have those colors on in here.
You'd have to kill me to get this jacket off. I don't want any trouble here. Then I'll let you lead. What about the bar? Burn it down.
We gotta go. Nah, we don't. They're scared of us.
The Bike Riders. Rated R. Only in theaters this Friday.
America is always on the move. Moving forward. Moving up. Moving home. And whether you are moving across town or across the country, Pods delivers when we say we will, with no surprise costs. Which is why we were voted America's #1 container moving company. Join over 6 million people who have trusted Pods with their move. Book your move today at pods.com.
Applebee's late night, because half off is just more fun. Now that's eating good in the neighborhood.
Ashley is having a Stars and Stripes preview sale. Shop early for Hot Buys, now only $7.99. And take advantage of recliner deals, right in time for Father's Day. Plus, pay 0% interest for 5 years with no minimum purchase, in-store only. Only at Ashley.
Ninjas in session. Time to get to work.
We're gonna have so much fun.
She did it!
I have a fire in my belly.
Hitting the buzzer, that would be like winning gold.
What a battle! Got it!
I didn't know anything could feel this good.
American Ninja Warrior, Monday on NBC.
As NBC is back, I want to remind you of the NASCAR America post-race show, Progressive NASCAR America post-race show. We will break down what has happened here at Iowa Speedway. Again, the first ever running of the Cup Series at this racetrack. And it's been many years since it was 1956, the last time a Cup Series race was run in the Midwest, which was Soldier Field back in 1956. So it's been a long time coming for fans in this area to catch some great short track racing for the Cup Series. As we see Alex Bowman trying to catch up to that one of Ross Chastain as the laps continue to wind down. Eric Jones with an issue here entering one.
Yeah, he entered the corner really high at his right side, right rear tire, kind of out of the groove, right in front of the leader, Blaney.
Ross up the racetrack. That was just moments ago.
The cars are starting to lose grip, even though the pace hasn't come off all that much. They're not as forgivable. If you ask something of your car, it doesn't have as much side grip to lean on it. We're starting to see drivers later in the run make some mistakes.
Rick, you did a nice job of kind of talking about the history of Iowa Speedway. I know this is the first Cup race here, but so many different Xfinity races here, and it's kind of a who's who of who has won those Xfinity races over the years. They all have turned into Cup drivers. Probably no bigger of a win than was for Ryan Preece, Kim.
That's right. Ryan Preece winning in the Xfinity Series in 2017, and he talked about how that win impacted his life. He said, Iowa changed my life. Before that, he had a couple of rides here and there, just a part-time situation. He was living in an apartment in Connecticut. That win opened the doors for him. He was able to move to North Carolina and get a full-time ride with a very good team. So we joke about Iowa and the Field of Dreams, but for Ryan Preece, it really was. It helped him continue the dream of being in the Cup Series at one point in his career.
It's those moments that happen in a driver's career that really turn things around.
Yeah, he also is caught up in that Stewart-Haas racing mix-up where they're selling out. He also is looking for a ride. So a lot of drivers trying to figure out what they're doing next year. It's going to be a crazy, silly season.
10 career wins, none of them this season, with Ryan Blaney up front, but he has led a career high number of laps tonight at 172 out front. His last win coming last year at Martinsville. It's been 17 races since he's been to victory lane.
I really think it's kind of time. Jeff, you mentioned about how the lap times haven't changed, but the forgiveness has gone away, and they're right on the edge. Now they're right on the edge, and they have to push more. We just saw this after the 12 of Blaney. He feels those second and third place catching him. He's trying to roll to the outside of this 42. Man, slides those rear tires. Now that takes a little bit of love out of those rear tires, a little bit of life.
See Chase Elliott trying to run down William Byron. And what they need is a little bit of traffic to hold up Blaney, and he is in it. There it is right there. That is, you can see the 12 car moving around.
Ty Gibbs in the 54 is the last car on the lead lap, so he doesn't want to give up this spot.
Well, that couldn't have worked out much better for Blaney. Ty got in there and couldn't hold the bottom of the racetrack. That opened the bottom up, gave Blaney clean air. Let's see if the guys behind him can get through as quickly.
Well, remember that 9 car. Marty's been reporting all day that Alan Gustafson asked Chase to take it a little easy for the first couple laps. I don't know exactly what that allowed them to do in the setup. Maybe a little bit lower air pressure, maybe a little bit more camber, but the 9 car is definitely paying dividends longer into the run.
Is there enough time for the 9 or the 24 to catch the 12? 0.8 of a second has been the gap as C. Bell makes it by Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and takes the 4th spot away. Remember, Christopher Bell in a backup car had to start at the back of this field and has been able to fight his way back up now inside the top 5. Blaney with 23 to go. A little bit of lap traffic coming into play now as William Byron trying to get by Austin Dillon. Blaney, the first champion under this new format to not have to win the race to win the championship. See the right front down on Michael McDowell.
Rick, they had a right front down earlier today, and McDowell did a terrific job. Travis Peterson as well, getting him back close to the top 10. Another right front down for this 34 team. Steve, does that make you a little bit worried about how long this run is going now?
Well, it makes you worried, but there's nothing you're going to do about it at this point. 22 laps to go. You can make it on fuel. It's hard to coach your driver down. It's one thing to control his pace all day long because there's another caution or another pit stop coming, but none of that's guaranteed at this point. At this point, you really have to push for what it's worth. With 21 to go, get all of those positions.
McDowell back on the racetrack, just behind race leader Blaney. Harrison Burton, the next one on the lead lap, that's looking in his mirror and seeing Blaney come up. Under 20 laps to go now.
Harrison, as a fellow Penske Ford, is going to have a nice wide entry and let the 12 go through, just like you would expect. And that puts 3 lap cars between the 24 and the 12. Now, the one advantage is the 34 is moving forward just off from pit road.
We'll see if he's able to stay pace with the 12 of Blaney. Light shining down on this 7/8 mile oval. Byron able to get by Harrison Burton. Blaney's put on a clinic here today. We mentioned leading the most laps of his career, 183 and counting.
He's done a great job getting through the lap traffic. He's actually lengthened his lead a little bit.
Over a second the gap, as now he has McDowell pressuring him. I'm sure his crew is telling him that he's on fresher tires. He's down multiple laps.
The key is to not lose pace. Let the 34 go, but still drive hard. See the 24, he's just didn't get through traffic as well as Blaney did.
No, it's like they can match lap times, but Blaney, to your point, Jeff, can kind of do it in either lane, so he can go where the lap cars aren't. When the 24 gets pinned to the bottom, he definitely loses a little lap time relative to the 12. Like in this situation, he chases the lap car into the high lane like he doesn't want to be on the bottom. Now the issue for the 12 is when you look out the front stretch, you know, you have the 34 going forward, but there's a couple cars in front of him. You have the 23 and the 10 who are racing and racing tough for position. 16th and 17th. They're not going to want to just let the leader go through. So with 15 to go, this is going to be a real mess for the 12 to work through right here.
And think about all the family members that are here. We heard Kim mention 80 plus family members in attendance at this race tonight. Reigning champion Ryan Blaney out in front has a 1.2 second lead with under 14 laps to go. On their edge of the seats.
So Blaney lost 0.2 of a second right there. this late in the race, you really want to fight hard to stay in the lead lap. That's what these two are going to do, and that could hold this 2 up.
And you see at the bottom of this thing on the left side, you have some guys with over 100 laps on their tires because they waved around. That's your big concern for potential yellow, is you have cars that are out there in much older tires.
So there you go. He got by Bubba Wallace pretty easily. Byron closed the gap by about 0.3 of a second through all that.
He's coming. Noah Gragson, the next car that Blaney's trying to get by to put a lap down. Blaney all the way to the bottom of the racetrack. Byron running that same line. Blaney still just now clearing Gragson.
Yeah, so Blaney, I'm sorry, 24 Byron closed the gap, but now he's got to go through the same process.
Will they be as difficult with him because he wasn't the race leader to put them a lap down?
I thought they were really respectful of Blaney, so I don't know that they could be a lot more respectful.
I didn't think they were difficult to the leader.
It's still 0.7 of a second, under 10 laps to go in Iowa.
And pretty clear track in front of Blaney now. Just one car, the 11 of Hamlin.
Remember a few weeks ago, Blaney looked like he had a race won, and it ran out of fuel in the last lap, so anything can happen.
Well, and I will bring up, while he's well inside his pit window the last time he pitted, they only took 2 tires. So, you know, maybe they could be closer on fuel than we think. I don't believe so. I think they can make it no problem.
8 laps to go in Iowa. And the prestige of winning the first ever Cup race at Iowa Speedway hanging out in front of Blaney, William Byron, Chase Elliott, top 3 drivers.
Well, those 80 friends and family that are in attendance, there are some beer coolers that are shaking in fear right now.
Yes, they do
7
not.
laps to go.
They don't want to be too confident.
There they are. Look at them all with the Blaney shirts on.
Yep,
Blaney,
Team Blaney t-shirts.
Listen, they were watching a few weeks ago too when he ran out on a lap to go, so they're not taking this for granted.
But they weren't right there. They weren't in the stands waiting to be able to potentially celebrate in victory lane. Under 6 laps to go for Blaney now. I see a lot of people putting their hands up to their face in that group. The nerves. And now, William Byron.
Tell you what, Williams cut into this lead the last few laps.
William Byron at 0.6 of a second, under 5 laps to go, as Blaney's been able to clear the lap traffic. And so has Byron. But here comes William Byron. Now 4 laps to go.
Blaney picked his speed up that lap.
Byron's got to get by the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. He clears him. Blaney sees 3 to go.
Blaney now, well, I was going to say Blaney now needs to really focus out the window. I don't think the 24 is close enough to defend yet. This would be a mistake now. There are such on the razor's edge with this new pavement. You just can't overcook the entry and get up out of the groove.
Now just 2 laps to go for Blaney, and you see the family up on their feet cheering. The reigning Cup Series champion will now see the white flag. It's 1 lap to go. Presented by Credit One Bank. The 30-year-old from High Point, North Carolina, has been winless in 2024. He's shown speed. He's shown dominance at other racetracks. And now he's showing that he can get to victory lane at Iowa Speedway. He's the first Cup winner. Ryan Blaney wins in Iowa.
Awesome, man. Awesome job, guys. Way to stick with it all night, man. Great bounce back from Gateway. Super proud of everybody, man. Congratulations. Here's to many more, fellas. Thank you. Good job, brother. Proud of you. Talking about being a team in the summer. We did it. Good job, boys.
And a proud dad in Dave Blaney. We'll see his son go to Victory Lane. All right, are they going to be able to get 80 people to Victory Lane? How do you get them over across the street?
I'd say if they have a great t-shirt on, let them through. I bet he knows where they're at. I think this burnout's going to be a little further down on the front stretch than normal. He knows where that crowd is down in turn 1. Blaney's not one to do many burnouts, so we'll have to see if he does one here or not.
You called it.
Blaney now going to turn his fourth way around and head back to the main straightaway.
Still no burnout. This is his move.
Yeah.
He said, you know, that he was taught a long time ago to not abuse the car. Dale Inman told him, right? The car just did what it was supposed to do, so nice salute to the fans.
Dale, if Dale Inman tells you to do something, legendary crew chief, you definitely do it.
You do it. Well, there's 10 winners now this season with still 9 races to go. Well, maybe he didn't listen to Dale Inman.
Blame it on the family.
And he parks it right on the corn at the finish line. All smiles for Blaney now. And Marty, let's hear from the first ever Cup winner in Iowa.
How about that, Rick? That's one they can't take away. The first ever Cup Series win. His mom, Lisa, from just down the road near Des Moines. And this kind of erases the fuel disappointment from Gateway a couple of weeks ago. Today, no disappointment for Ryan Blaney. Team Penske is going to climb out. Welcome to the playoffs, Ryan Blaney. Going to go get the checkered flag and find a young fan to be able to hand that to. He's scouting that out right now. And I would say with all the friends and family here, he's going to maybe ask for a couple replicas of this one. There you go, Ryan. 80 friends and family are here. Did this one mean a little bit more?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, man, I mean, what a cool way to win here. This place is a lot, means a lot to me. It means a lot to my mom. And yeah, we had a lot of people here tonight cheering us on. So they willed us to that one. So overall, I really appreciate the whole 12 boys. I mean, our car was really fast all night, and we got a little bit better through the night. And 2 tires was a good call there. I didn't know how well I was going to hold on. I kind of started to struggle a little bit at the end, but had enough to hang on. So super proud of the effort. Appreciate Advanced Auto Parts, Ford Performance, Menards, Discount Tire Worth, Snap-on, Dex Imaging, Wabash, everything they do makes up a little bit from a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so we were watching your friends and family on those final few laps and them cheering you on. How's this going to work, Ryan? Are all 80 coming to Victory Lane?
I hope so. I don't know. We'll see, but I'm looking forward to seeing them. It's always good to have family, and I've been super lucky to have family that support me, through my career, and it's great that they're, still support me just as much as they did day one. So also want to appreciate the sold-out crowd. You guys were cool weekend, man. Really cool to win the first Cup race here. I can't wait we come back in many more years.
So special it deserved a burnout. That's only the second time I've seen you do a burnout, Ryan.
Home track, I got to. Means a lot. I've won, I mean, it's cool to win a truck here, Xfinity car here, now Cup car. That was cool. Gosh, I'm worn out. It was a long race and driving hard, and yeah, I figured I deserved to burn out, so hopefully Dale Inman isn't too mad at me.
How about that, Iowa race fans? The driver with a hometown connection right here in Iowa, Ryan Blaney, gets to victory lane.
Very cool of him to acknowledge the fans here all weekend long. They have packed the place, and they saw another great race here at Iowa Speedway. This time, it's the first time for the Cup Series. There's all the family celebrating. The first ever Cup Series race win at Iowa Speedway. The team will celebrate. Ryan Blaney, very rare burnout. Even acknowledged Dale Inman will accept this one. With family ties to Iowa, Ryan Blaney gets the win. The NASCAR America Post-Race Show presented by Progressive. Fireworks continue in the background for Ryan Blaney's big win here at Iowa Speedway. We want to take a look at the playoff standings. Now, Ryan Blaney's name is in yellow. All the winners that have locked themselves into the playoffs on the left side of the screen, those still fighting for points on the right side. But remember, 9 races remain in the regular season and only 6 spots still to be determined as far as those not locked in.
Yeah, the 12 was looking good. Now with that name in yellow, feels even better. It's towards the other side of the page that I think people are really starting to see points slip away. The 8 had a decent car tonight, mechanical issues. Logano was just okay. Blaney ends up getting the job done. It's going to be an exciting 9-race run to the playoffs.
Jeff, what do you think about the first ever Cup race in Iowa?
It was a lot of fun. It was so much unexpected. And, you know, just never knew what was going to happen. We came into this race with concerns about tires. We came into it, you know, a week ago. Drivers were saying it's only one groove. You won't be able to go anywhere. They ran all over the racetrack. So for a first race, I think this was really good. A lot can be learned. Hopefully we can come back in the future.
Stevie?
You know, what I learned is try not to predict what you're going to see, because I heard all of these horror stories after the tires test, and that's not at all what we saw on the racetrack. And I hand it to Goodyear, to the racetrack, most importantly the drivers and teams, right? Because they continue to adapt. We saw practice. We don't normally see practice. I think teams made adjustments. It was hard to tell who was going to be the best, and I think Ryan Blaney proved that he stood up to the test with leading that many laps tonight.
Ryan Blaney dominating at 201 laps, but it was late in the race where William Byron looked as though he was closing the gap. Let's hear from the guy who finished second. He's with Dave.
Well, the first winner at Iowa in the Cup Series was almost William Byron. You were coming there at the end. How many more laps did you need?
Yeah, we were pretty even. You know, he was on 2 tires, so I think I had just a little bit fresher tire and was able to work the bottom through lap traffic okay, and felt like I was making marginal gains through 1 and 2, but my tires would get hot down there, and I just would start sliding the rears around a little bit on entry. So just really good effort by our team. We struggled on Friday, and then had a really good qualifying effort, and then had a bad restart in the middle of the race. That was terrible. Just didn't get the tires cleaned off, and it was really weird tonight, you know, with a repave, and it seemed like the tires would take a lap or 2 to go. So once we figured that out, we had some better restarts, but just proud of this team. You know, we definitely need to put together some consistent runs, and this is a good start, and would love to be, you know, winning tonight, but Ryan and those guys were really good, so congrats to them.
There were a lot of unknowns coming in, William, and then you talked about some weirdness. I mean, how many challenges were there out there tonight? Because, you know, in the end, Tyler Failure was not one of them, but were you being careful?
No, I mean, you just kind of run it for all it's got, but you try to stay conscious of it. We never had tire issues all weekend, so just the restarts, you know, with scuffed tires or new tires, just sliding around for a lap, and it's pretty hairy on the restarts, you know, just trying to get grip in the car. So feel like we maximized our day. You know, and just going from here, try to have a good race at New Hampshire. That's been a tough one.
And it's the best finish for you since Martinsville in April. I know that's been a long time coming. You guys have been working at it.
Yeah, we've been working hard. I think we've had speed for most of the weeks, maybe besides Gateway. Wasn't our best, but last week could have easily been up in front and contending for a win. But this is a really good start to put the whole race together, and even, you know, through some adversity. So really proud of that.
Strong run tonight for William.
Second place finish for William Byron. Hey, look at this, Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, Dave. Dad very proud of Ryan Blaney and what he was able to accomplish. Now one step closer to doing something no one else has ever done, gone back-to-back in this format of championship. Ryan Blaney locked into the playoffs now. Marty, DJ, and Brad on the other side.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.
NASCAR's second half is on NBC, USA, and Peacock.
We're racing at New Hampshire. Green flag in the air at Nashville. NASCAR in the streets of Chicago.
NASCAR's second half continues in New Hampshire on USA.
Back at Iowa Speedway, Ryan Blaney gets to add the win sticker, a win so important to him. In the playoffs now, officially for Ryan Blaney. Team Penske's won 2 of the last 3 races. By the Brad, look at that. Victory lane's plenty big enough for 80 people. Come on, man.
It's plenty big. Yeah, get all those Blaneys down there. You load that lane up.
You were saying you were going to visit some RVs during the race. That's the party you need to go to.
I'm headed there
tonight.
As soon as we walk out of here, I'm headed there.
I'm sure Dave will be happy to invite you guys. Hey, Marty Snyder, Dale Jarrett, Brad Daugherty joining you here. So, DJ, you know, I know Ryan. I go back to the shot 2 weeks ago. Ryan Blaney just so gutted when he ran out of fuel. Does a win like this, it's a special one, make up for something like that?
It can make up. I mean, you never forget those ones that you thought you had and within a lap like that. But this does. You know, it secures his spot. You know, you put that sticker on your car, you know what that means. And so now he's looking forward to trying to be the first back-to-back champion in this format that we've had. So a lot of speed that they've shown recently on certain types of racetracks, it seems like. And, you know, this guy's just a champion driver. He does such a tremendous job. I questioned the 2-tire call.
I was going to ask you, are you surprised it worked?
I'm telling you, when you have a car that good, you're kind of torn between, okay, do I take a chance because we have the best car, so should we put 4 on it? Or let's make sure we keep him out front because that seemed to be very important for them. And he just did a magnificent job of getting through lap traffic and doing everything you need to do.
You know, it just shows the mindset of a championship race car driver because all weekend long, everyone complained about their race cars, but Ryan Blaney didn't. And he came out, and like you said, a 2-tire stop, you're saying, okay, what's going to happen? Who's going to be able to get to him? Is Byron going to get to him? But he managed traffic well. He took good care of that race car. And like he said, they didn't have any problems. It's really a mindset more than it is anything, and he's got that championship mindset.
Well, Chase Elliott continues just such an impressive streak for that 9 team. Another top 5 finish. Winds up 3rd today. He's with Kim.
Chase Elliott with another solid day, but there were a lot of unknowns headed into this race. Any surprises for you out there?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of surprises. That wasn't really sure what to expect with the tire, and yeah, the racetrack kind of changed a lot. I thought throughout the day the lanes changed a lot. We were able to move around. I thought it was actually a much better race than I was anticipating it being with the repave. So thought all that was really good. Congrats to Ryan. He did a great job, you know, getting up through there, and always good to see him get one if we can't. But you know, I think. Ultimately, really proud of our Napa team and just continuing to put together solid days. Just need a little bit more to kind of set the pace and be up there leading laps like I feel like we can. So it's nice to be in the fight, though, and have a shot there in the closing laps.
You mentioned the solid days. With this 3rd place finish, this is the 2nd straight top 5, but more importantly, you're the only driver to finish in the top 20 in all of the races this season. What do you feel like you guys have done right that maybe other teams are missing?
Well, I feel like we've been, you know, working on the right things throughout the course of the season, but just to finish all the races, you have to have some good fortune go your way. I think we've been fortunate to stay out of trouble, trouble a couple days where we probably should have been in trouble. So that stuff's going to happen, and it's just part of racing. But, you know, for us, we just got to focus on the things that we can control, and that's, you know, good prep throughout the week and bringing fast race cars like we've been doing. and keeping ourselves up there in the fight and let the rest of it kind of figure itself out. So proud of where we're at. Just got to keep it rolling and keep trucking.
Podium finish for Chase Elliott and his team.
Yeah, you talk about the role they're on, Kim. I mean, it's been incredible what Chase Elliott and his team have done. And he said earlier this week in the media center, I don't feel like we've reached our potential. I mean, Alan Gustafson told me, I feel like Chase is maybe driving better than he ever has. What do you think, DJ?
He's doing a fantastic job. You know, I mean, I think last year was such an anomaly, and we didn't know what to think might happen after everything that they went through. And here they are back to what we expect from this driver, this crew chief, and this race team. The consistency is like no one else in the series right now. Yeah. And we know that if you do those things well, then you're going to find yourself racing for a championship at the end of the year in Phoenix. Yeah. If you're that good all around.
You know, last year with the broken leg and then the big penalty, and it's like almost lost interest because there was so much against him last year.
Good point.
Got to the end of the year, it's like, where's Chase Elliott? This is a refocused Chase Elliott. This guy he is for real, and they are so consistent. Alan Gustafson's doing a great job. You better watch out for this 9 bunch. They could be really standing there at the end of the year holding another trophy.
Brad, I want to go back to his comment where he said the track changed a lot. You guys had the fortune in stage 1 and 2 to kind of walk around and see different parts of the track. Did you notice, and were you surprised by how much the track changed throughout this entire race?
I was shocked. I thought as the track cooled off and changed, I thought we were going to see, that's when the tire troubles were really going to start to exacerbate themselves. It didn't, though. And it's whoever had the best balance in their race car seemed to go forward. And the guy I really watched the whole race was Christopher Bell. I mean, he was so fast. He was a little squirrely earlier on in the heat.
Yeah.
But as it cooled off, he was the fastest race car on the racetrack.
Yeah, it was very racy. I mean, I kind of anticipated that. I felt like the cooling off was only going to help the competition, and it turned out that it did. It was great racing all day. I think you had to move around, and I felt that was going to be the case here today. But who's going to keep up with it the best? What crew chief and what driver was going to put it all together? And we see that was Ryan Blaney and his team.
Brad, Ryan Blaney has your corn, by the way. Should we ask him how much a bushel weighs?
He has no idea. I'll guarantee you that.
Well, now you can go ask him, because now you know that each one of these weighs 56 pounds.
That's right.
You mentioned that you were watching Christopher Bell today. Yeah. Man, what a show he put on. Back to the front. They got the caution didn't come out at the right time, but somehow survived for a top 5. Kim is with Christopher.
4 straight top 10 finishes for Christopher Bell. Comes home in the 4th position, but more importantly, you did it in a backup car. You started from the rear. How did you overcome the adversity you guys were dealt this weekend?
It was a lot, and the adversity, it kept coming all day long. You know, the start of the race, I felt like we had really good pace and the car handled well, especially whenever the tires got hot. And then the strategy completely backfired on us in stage 2 and got us buried. And whenever I was back in traffic, I really struggled on new tires. I don't know why that was. I mean, I was the slowest car in the field on new tires, and then all of a sudden they'd get hot, and I'd be one of the fastest cars. So overall, it was a very great weekend for the Rheem team to show up and go to the top of the charts in the primary early in practice, have the tire failure, and then come back with a backup car and be very competitive is a lot of effort. And these guys deserve all the credit, because I can't explain to you guys how hard it was to prepare this backup car in the NASCAR Cup Series garage.
You had found success here in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and I would consider a 4th place finish in the inaugural Cup race is a success too. But your thoughts on that partial repave?
I mean, they definitely need to repave the rest of the corners, at least. If they don't want to do the straightaways, that's fine, but they need to do the entire corners. I'm hopeful that they do it tomorrow or next week, and then we have, a full year to sit on it before we come back. And the longer that it sits, the better it's going to get. If we would have had a Cup race on the old Iowa, it would have been a barn burner for sure.
Just such an impressive day for this 20-team, DJ. And I know I did the story during the race. I want to go back to what Christopher said, though, and reiterate. So they went to the backup car. They stayed until 10:30 p.m. Friday night. They drove back to the hotel. They got 4 hours of sleep. They were up at 4:30 in the morning, back here Saturday morning at 6 a.m. to get that backup car ready. Is there a way to overstate maybe how impressive it was what that team was able to do, not only with a backup car, but also kind of losing all their track position in the middle of the race?
Yeah, and it wasn't even their car to start. It was Martin Truex junior car from last year that hadn't been run. And so there was a lot of preparation. Obviously, they weren't anticipating that. But when you have a great leader, And you talked to him a number of times as you were on that pit box today. And by the way, that was fantastic stuff as we saw. But Adam, see, that's where it all comes together. And you know, you have that and a driver like Christopher Bell that you know is going to give everything he has every single lap. I mean, I think if we look from lap 20 in every run past that, he had the fastest times for every lap after that probably. But the leadership is like none other. So just kudos to those guys. Just a great job and a total team effort.
Yeah, I learned a lot about Christopher Bell today. I mean, here's a guy all weekend long. He did not like this racetrack, and he was very vocal about it.
He was very vocal.
Yeah, and they struggled with some things, and I was watching specifically because Ricky Stenhouse was running fourth there, and I was actually watching Joey Logano, and as I kept looking at the board, I kept seeing Christopher Bell's speeds, and he was at times a tenth faster than everyone on the racetrack. If he had enough time, he would have gotten there. Better watch out for Christopher Bell because they're coming. I love the speed in that race car. I love the maturation of this young man, and Adam Stevens is brilliant. This team's going to be tough to beat.
Brad, I have bad news. The party has started without you in Victory Lane. They made it. Oh, let him over the fence. Let him into Victory Lane. My goodness, the fans are here for Ryan Blaney, the family. 80 strong. Cheering on their guy, Ryan Blaney, in Victory Lane here in Iowa. NASCAR America Post Race is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle auto, home, or motorcycle insurance. Visit progressive.com. Let's take a look at this week's Progressive Safe Driver. I mean, Brad, when you lead 201 laps, I mean, does anyone even else get a vote or not?
No. Let's keep it real. Ryan Blaney was absolutely lights out. He came, he showed up, he performed at a world-class level, put on a show for these great Iowa fans.
Most laps he's ever led in a race in his life. And DJ, you've been in this position before. There's Dave, his dad.
Yeah.
Where you're at a home race, and you honestly put more pressure on yourself, don't you?
You put it on yourself. Yeah, there's not more. You just want to perform for them. You know, people make an effort to get here, so it was great. And, you know, he did a fantastic job. And, gosh, to do that with Dave here on Father's Day, couldn't be better.
Terrific, terrific point, DJ. Brad, here's how the unofficial results roll out. Who stands out to you?
Yeah, I mean, Josh Berry had a tremendous day today. It was good to see Daniel Suarez have a good run. Brad Keselowski again. He's keeping up. He's standing right around there. So it was a good day for those guys.
I know you jumped over your driver, but Ricky Stenhouse Jr. did a great job. I mean, they used some strategy at times to get him up there. But and I know he's won races here before, as we mentioned, in the Xfinity Series, but this was a totally different track. But they did a great job. Outstanding run for that team.
As we move outside the top 10, how about Ross Chastain, by the way? Yes, they had a tire go down in practice. Yes, they had a tire go down in the race today. But, Brad, they survived. And we knew survival was going to be a big part of the day.
No, he did a great job of surviving and keeping himself in the mix. And Ross drove his rear end off, did a great job. And Todd Gilliland as well. Good to see him up. And Justin Haley, man, he was so fast. He went back to 34th at one point during the race and came to 9th.
Yeah, those three right there, Todd Gilliland, Justin Haley, as you mentioned, Carson Hocevar got a lap down at one time, came back up from that and got a 14th place finish. Did an outstanding job. A pretty good run for Harrison Burton today, too.
Terrific.
He had speed a lot of times. They got caught a lap down there and didn't really get that back, but he showed a lot more speed today.
Right, I think a lot of people were surprised by Tyler Reddick there in 22nd. You know, in the garage this morning, they were all saying he's one of the cars to beat, but he was nowhere to be found.
No, you know, in the back of my mind when we were talking about who was to keep an eye on this weekend, he was always in the back of your mind because you think this racetrack would fit into his style. You know, he's so loose and aggressive and can make things work, kind of like a Kyle Larson-like. You know, but it didn't work today. They could not find it. They could not get a rhythm. They struggled.
But only one Toyota really performed, and
That's
that was
true.
Christopher Bell.
Yep.
Boy, you think about Kyle Busch and that race team, DJ. I mean, the last 3 weeks, they have legit, and Kyle mentioned it, legit had top 5 or top 10 speed, and they walk away losing another big amount of points. Now 21 below the cut line for Kyle
Going to be
Busch.
tough. Going to be tough.
Yeah, you got to think about maybe is it must-win territory for Kyle Busch with now 9 races left in the regular season. So DJ Brad won't brag on his driver, but maybe Dave can. He's caught up with your driver, Brad.
Really? Oh, man, that's kind
Ricky
of you
Stenhouse
guys.
Jr. with a top 5.
Hey, look at that. A little strategy, a lot of speed. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is in the top 5 today. Did you see it coming? Did you kind of know it since Friday?
I felt we were strong on Friday. I don't know if I felt like we were a top 5 car. I mean, I guess we were top 5 on 15-lap average in practice. So there were some shining moments on Friday. We just missed it a little bit with our NOS Energy Drink Camaro on qualifying. but it was the first time that we had ever been loose all year in qualifying. So I think we got some notes to look at. The guys did a great job in the war room and on the pit box, with that strategy call and those 2 tires at the end get us, just a little bit more clean air and track position. So all in all, it was a really fun night. My guys on pit road did a good job. We had one, mistake, and they cleaned it up from there. So total team effort tonight. Hopefully we can kind of build on this.
When you were on the old lefts, was it sketchy at all? Was that an easy run?
It was pretty loose, which was, the first time we had been loose all race. So it was kind of cool, though. I felt like those long runs, there was some things that kind of came back to me from, like 12 years ago when I ran here. And I started kind of smiling a little bit. I was having a little bit of fun. And, it was a really cool night. Glad that, we're back here in Iowa. Hope everybody has a great Father's Day. My dad back home and all the fathers out there.
Yeah, follow that up just a little bit more, because we reminisced with you the 3 wins here in the Xfinity Series, and Kelly thought that you might have a little bit of an advantage going in just knowing that you can run well here.
Confidence is key, and believing in that you can do something. And then, unloaded with a good car on Friday was key. I mean, you don't want to, you can't unload too far off with this series. Everybody's so good. Everybody's so close and strong. So, kudos to my guys for doing that. And, man, that was a lot of fun.
Superb night for the 47.
And Joey Logano comes home in the 6th position. We talked earlier this morning, and you said you felt like you had top 5 speed this last handful of races. So 6th place, 1 out from that spot. Is this maximizing the day, or did you leave a little on the table?
I mean, it's pretty close to maximizing it. We got kind of caught when that caution came out in the middle of the cycle there, and we lost a lot of stage points there in the 2nd stage. But able to recover to be on the front row in the final restart there with 2 tires on the car. And I thought I can race Blaney and maybe win the thing. Just too squirmy to start, just losing the back, can't get to the gas, and just bled a few spots, unfortunately. So still a solid day for the Shell Pennzoil Mustang, and great for Team Penske, another win. So things are starting to line up the way they're supposed to, which is good, and these short tracks have been all right. So hopefully we can get one at home and Loudon next week.
The other good thing about today, you moved 1 spot up in the playoff grid. Now you're just 1 spot out of the grid, minus 6 points. What can you and the team do over the next maybe 5 races before the break to improve your standings?
Yeah, we just got to keep doing the stage points and solid finishes. So you keep doing that, you're going to work yourself into where, you don't want to be the last car or really the last 2 cars, but if you can be consistent like we've been here recently, getting a little bit more consistently having speed, outside of Sonoma last week, having some issues, but we've been faster, which is what you need to do. So if we have faster cars like we've had, we'll eventually get the points we need.
And finally, both your teammates have won now this season. Is the pressure on?
Our guy one doesn't count for points. I got $1 million though. I'd buy some points with those if I could, but yeah, let's get one.
That's Joey Logano referring to his all-star race back in May.
I don't know, Kim. $1 million. I mean, that sounds pretty good to me, Brad. I don't know.
That's a little walking around money. Absolutely.
Exactly. Here's how the playoff standings shape up, DJ.
Yes, they do, and yeah, a lot of changing. And some nervous drivers here. We talk about the two-time champions there. Both of them still sitting outside. We're unaccustomed to seeing these drivers anywhere outside the top 10, much less being outside the top 16. But Bubba Wallace is going to have to pick things up. Chris Buescher, he's run well, but once again had an issue today, so he just can't separate himself all that much. So you get one more winner from down there somewhere, and then all of a sudden it becomes even tighter.
By the way, not pictured here, Josh Berry is 21st. Had he won, DJ, now a whole different ball game, isn't it?
Yeah. I think the thing that really scares me a little bit is for Kyle Busch. I mean, I look at Joey Logano and Bubba Wallace as interchangeable, +6, -6. But that Kyle Busch, I mean, he's going to have to win a race between here and now.
You think so?
Yes,
9 races to go.
Yes, sir. I think he's had the speed, but they've had so many little things every week that takes him out of it. I don't know when that stops. It's just a run of bad luck. So he's going to have to win a race to have opportunity. I do believe that.
DJ, I found it interesting when Joey Logano immediately went to next week. I mean, I think they kind of view certain places as their shot to get it done. And New Hampshire, for them, could be one of those places.
Yeah, it certainly could. And I think that their short track program, if you look at it, and I realize that's a mile racetrack, but it's a short track. And so from a driver's standpoint. And so I think they look at that as another opportunity yet. We've seen Blaney run good there. Obviously, Logano has run good there through the years. He has to be looking at that Can we improve on what we did this week a little bit more? He won that $1 million on a short track over at North Wilkesboro. So, it has to be a little more excited. And if it can't be the win that he's looking for, just another solid run. As he pointed out, getting stage points and good finishes, then a lot of good things can happen from
Brad, since you won't voluntarily brag on your driver, we're going to make you brag on your driver. How needed was this for the 47 team with the top 5?
Man, we have struggled this year. It's been really, really tough. And coming here, I knew Ricky would be very confident. That's what we need from Ricky. When Ricky's confident, he can go do the job. And he did a great job today. Very proud of our guys. They worked really hard.
At the end of the day, it's Ryan Blaney, though, in victory lane, punching his ticket to the playoffs after the disappointment at St. Louis a couple of weeks ago. Big Hatman's here. Hey, there you go, Brad.
Got all
the
80
family's
in.
made it.
Get me in.
Yeah,
Where's my
it's
Blaney
coming,
shirt?
Brad.
Oh,
it's
that's
coming.
great right there.
Don't worry. You're invited, by the way. Dave texted me. So. NASCAR America Post Race is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle auto, home, or motorcycle insurance. Visit progressive.com. I want to say happy Father's Day to everyone watching us on USA, to all the crew members as well, and of course the drivers too. DJ, if my memory serves correct, didn't you win maybe a Father's Day race at Michigan?
Well, my memory's not great, but I'm pretty sure that I did too. Yeah, we were always in Michigan during this time, and so I believe that did happen. Very fortunate. This is great. We call this a family sport, and it's not just about the fans and their families coming to it, but it's the families of the drivers and the crew chiefs and car owners. And right here, nothing better than that right there. Just being able to take a hug from your dad and say, hey, thanks for all.
By the way, back there was Mom Lisa coming through, the Iowa native. The fireworks going off for Ryan Blaney. Now into the playoffs. What a terrific shot there by our director, Sean Owens. Let's take a look at how the race was won for Ryan Blaney. I mean, I did not see this coming, Brad, where he would lead 200-some laps and be able to pull off the win today.
No, I didn't see that because we saw Kyle Larson earlier on in the day, and we saw what he had. He was dominant earlier on in the day, and then he had his incident. And Ryan just picked up from there and just was so consistent, got out front, and he just had a stranglehold on that lead. He would not give it up.
Yeah, they won this race today, but this race was won starting about 6 or 8 weeks ago because they were not good at the start of this season. They didn't put themselves in a position. They didn't have the speed or the handling to do that. So that's when this race was really won, that they've given this driver, this championship caliber and championship winning driver, the opportunity to take a car and put 2 tires on it there and be able to hold off the rest of the field.
Real quick, this is 2 wins in 3 races for Team Penske. Is this something, DJ, that continues, or is it maybe a little more track specific? Because you look at sort of the short track program, that's been their strength.
Yeah, I think there are still some places they're going to struggle. They're working hard. I know there's a lot of effort that's being put forth through Ford Motor Company and through the different teams, Penske and Brad Keselowski and their team. They're working extremely hard to make sure that they can compete with this speed and the handling issues that they've had at all different types of tracks.
There's Mom Lisa celebrating with her son Ryan Blaney. What a happy moment for the Blaney family. We talked about the impressive run for Josh Berry, who winds up 7th, and he's with Dave.
Yeah, it's 32 laps led Josh Berry tonight, and weren't really giving any or taking any from anybody out there. The 4-car looked good.
Yeah, no, Rodney and this whole 4 group did a really good job this weekend. Started in qualifying yesterday, qualifying in the 3rd spot, able to maintain our track position for the most part, score a lot of stage points. There's a lot of positives out of tonight. Our car took off really well on the restarts, which was fun, being on the offense. It just seemed like we bled out a little bit more than some of the guys around us on the long run. So just something to look at. But, all in all, we were leading on that last stop and decided to take 4 and just didn't, the restart didn't go our way. The 47 didn't get a great restart. That kind of knocked me back a couple rows and just got mired back and lost a little track position. But, all in all, just really proud of the effort tonight. Really solid day. Just thank you so much to everybody at Stewart-Haas Racing, Ford, Overstock, Marcus Lemonis for stepping up and sponsoring all these races for us. And I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. I guess, man, that was fun thinking about that moment, if that could come. And I feel like, I deserve to be, racing these cars week in and week out. And I think I've done about all I can do besides winning a race to prove that.
Well, and I feel like you're motivating a bunch of people left at SHR there. You're motivating yourself too and fighting for that job. So, I mean, you've got a lot riding on this.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are, You know, they're racers through and through, professionals, just absolutely top-notch group right here on this 4 team. And we're going to fight to the very last lap at Phoenix without a doubt. And we're just getting better and better. We're just showing more and more potential week in and week out. You know, I think sometimes I forget even that I'm a rookie, right? So I think sometimes people forget that I'm a rookie, and I'm still learning all this stuff and making mistakes here or there. But, man, this group, you know, Rodney, Cheddar, Dax, Eddie up top, man, these guys are doing an amazing job, and it's been a privilege to race with them this year. And like I said, we're gonna fight all year long, and you know, we're leading there with 70 laps to go. I bet everybody was thinking, what if this happens tonight?
Keep fighting. 7th tonight for Josh Berry.
A 9th place finish for Daniel Suarez, your first top 10 since April. I know you have been so frustrated recently. How much does this inject the team with a little bit of energy?
It definitely feels good because our short track package has been a little bit off most of the year. And to come here, you know, to Iowa for the very first time and perform the way that we did, you know, we qualified well, we qualified 13, we run most of the race in the top 10, and I feel like at times we had top 5 cars, at times we had a top 10 car, and we finished right there. So very happy with the effort. It's definitely a step in the right direction. Already we want to win, but we have to make, you know, steps in the right direction, and this race was definitely one of them. So I can thank everyone enough at Track House, all my group, the 99, the 1 team, Kubota that was on board with a very, very cool design this weekend. So yeah, it was a solid weekend.
We did see an on-track incident between you and Kyle Larson. Ultimately, that damage, you know, took Kyle Larson out of what could have been a win here. Walk me through what happened.
Yeah, you know, it was a little bit tricky. Definitely Kyle had one of the best cars out there. And, you know, the last thing I want is to wreck one of my Chevy teammates. During the race, obviously, I was a little bit confused. I didn't really have an opinion because I didn't know if I went up or he came down. I just saw the replay for the very first time, and I thought that I definitely went up and I made contact with him. And I also noticed that the 6 that was the car that was on the outside, he had like a quarter of a car of gap to the wall, and then Kyle had another quarter of a car from the 6. So, you know, they were doing their thing, trying to pinch everyone down, and I was expecting them to be a little bit closer to the wall, and I just didn't have enough room. But you know, it wasn't definitely my intention, but I feel like it was a racing thing.
Daniel Suarez with a top 10 finish here at Iowa.
So as we sat around thinking and actually learning from others who we thought was really good tonight, the 48 came up a bunch of times. Ultimately, why aren't you in victory lane tonight?
Well, we got caught by that caution, right, and had to take the wave, and then just working our way back up through there pretty good, and got absolutely demolished into turn 1 and lost like 6 spots and had to come back again. So bummer day, but obviously start 33rd and be so far back for so much of the race to end up 8th is not the end of the world for our Ally 48 team. Obviously, we would like to get a win. I think our race car was one of the best on the long runs at least, but just lacked a little bit there through the middle part of the run. I'd fire off okay, then I'd get tight, and then I'd get okay again. So kind of weird how the tires worked and the cycles went, but I feel like we had a really good race car tonight.
Yeah, I know the starting position wasn't ideal, but I was going to ask you, it was those long runs where you really felt like 48 has the speed.
Yeah, for sure. I think everybody here knows that. We were super fast on the long runs, but unfortunately just lost too much track position on that pit cycle when the caution came out, and then losing 6 extra there into 1 isn't much better. So just tough to overcome. Everybody here in the Cup Series is so good. It's hard to get those spots back, but I feel like my team did a really good job continuing to chip away at it, and it would have been pretty easy to be all butthurt after yesterday and sad, and I think everybody came in with a good mindset, and we worked really hard today and ended up with a good top 10.
Interesting being at Iowa. Can the things learned here apply going forward?
Oh gosh, I don't know anywhere else that this place really applies to anymore. It may as well be an intermediate track as hard as you drive the car. So yeah, vastly different than a lot of places we go to, but honestly we still had some issues that we've been struggling with at some other places. We had our fair share of brake issues tonight that we need to address, and things we need to make better that we've been fighting with at other places. So hopefully we can continue to learn about those things and get better.
8th tonight for Alex Bowman.
Tip of the cap, Brad. You called it. 30
right. Yep.
for Alex Bowman
10th top 10. No Stradardi over here.
Next week, the NTT IndyCar Series racing from Laguna Seca, covered 6 p.m. Eastern on USA. and Peacock. Bubba Wallace, by the way, made it to victory lane to congratulate his buddy Ryan Blaney. When we come back, we'll talk about New Hampshire next week. Nine races left in the regular season, DJ. Here's how the regular season points shape up. It's interesting, isn't it?
Number one position changed for the third week in a row. And so just going to continue probably with that. We see at least those top four still have a shot at making this happen and getting those 15 playoff points.
Boy, what a rough night for Kyle Larson, though, Brad.
That's just where I was going. I mean, we just take him out of this. I mean, he was the guy that looked like he was going to win this race today, and boy, had a bad day. And you know, one thing happens and it changes the whole dynamic. So he drops a little bit, but I'm sure he'll be back.
Blaney's a pro at the hat dance, by the way.
He's got that down, doesn't he?
He has got that down.
Yeah, he's messing up his hair. Look at that.
Next week, we'll be at New Hampshire for the Cup Series. There's how it looks, DJ. USA all weekend long. Xfinity Series Saturday, Cup Series on Sunday. What do you think for New Hampshire next week?
More exciting racing. I mean, it's tight racing, but I look for the Toyotas to be much better than what they were here today.
Yeah, I think Martin Truex will fare very well. I think Chase, you know, I'm also going to look at Joey Logano. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for him to get right, get himself right. So I think it's going to be a great race.
I know a lot of drivers talked about how fast this track was. It still was a short track. I think we saw some tempers still tonight.
No doubt
about it. I think the tempers will revisit next week at New Hampshire.
100%.
You know how that feels?
Yes, I do. Been there a time or two.
That's a frustrating racetrack, isn't it? But certainly an opportunity for someone to get a win and put themselves into the playoffs. That could happen. Just like Ryan Blaney did tonight. Such an impressive run for him. 201 laps led tonight.
Dominant.
Just so impressive. DJ, real quick question. Should they repave all the corners here at Iowa? Are you happy with the way it was tonight?
No, I'd like to see it. They have time now to do all of that and give Goodyear a little bit more than 3 days after the paving is done to bring a tire test here and then have everything done. They did a great job.
But this track put on a great race, Brad.
This was a great event, great show, a lot of fun to watch. Can't wait to come back next week.
Yes, indeed. Coming up next on USA Race to Survive New Zealand. We will see you next week for Xfinity and Cup Series action from New Hampshire here on USA.